That's Noiseworthy.
Good Friday afternoon to you for our Friday football fiesta on Friday, September 11th, 2020. The 19th, September 11th. Since that September 11th, on September 11, 2001, everyone with a 9/11/2001 story. If you were alive, you had one. Interesting that in our election coming up in November, it will be the first election that voters that were not even born that day, the first presidential election that they will be eligible to vote in. So time has marched on as it always does and always will. The memories and the sadness of that day, it's not as ever present today as it was 02, 03, 04, and I'm sure it is for people that had someone that was lost that day or maybe had someone serve in the military after that day, and certainly if they lost someone in the military from being called to duty after that day. It always will be. But as time passes, we know with everything, the commemorations remain and the memories remain, but maybe not as fresh and as scarring as it was in the first few years after that. There's a lot of breaking news as we come on the air, and we're going to get to it all. But just for context, and this is many, many, many lifetimes ago for a lot of these examples. 19 years after Abraham Lincoln's assassination, that was 1884. We have no sense of that. There are many, though, in our listening audience and friends of ours, our parents. 19 years after Pearl Harbor was 1960. 19 years after JFK's assassination was 1982. 19 years after Dr. Martin Luther King and Senator Robert Kennedy's assassinations, the summer of 1968, well, it was 1987. And 19 years after the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster, it was 2005. And then the next big seminal American moment for all of us, that we all had some sense of, most of us had some sense of grief, remorse, sadness, the collectivism of that date. It is today, Friday, September 11th, 2020. Dave will probably not be with us today. If he is, it'll be in the last hour. Tigers off this week. And now as we come on the air with breaking Tigers news reported by the great reporters at the Commercial Appeal, Evan Barnes and Jason Munns, now reporting 20 Tiger football players positive and 20 more in quarantine from a post-game party bus last Saturday night after the game. The status of next Friday night's game against Houston, well, it speaks for itself, as this entire season kind of speaks for itself. It's all out there in lightly shaded pencil. The entire year, the schedule, will we play, what will happen, and in this case, with that many positives and that many in quarantine, well, that's 40 out of roughly a 75, 80 that really can compete college football roster. That speaks for itself. And it also, whether this would occur or not, but for Houston, I think there would definitely be some reluctance now for them to play. With this, with all the checking you have to do, I don't know if it all, as the story is developing, I don't know if it all emanates from post-game and party bus, but you would have to think about in-game and Arkansas State. And now them traveling to prepare to play Kansas State. And it's the trickle down, the domino effect of all this, as we've seen it in all of our lives. If it's a coworker of ours that has been exposed, then we all are, get concerned and have some fear and some our guard up. So we don't know exactly the status of next Friday night's game against Houston, but I think you can probably imagine the outcome of that unless some really good news breaks really, really fast. And if the Tigers have been on it since immediately on Saturday night or not, you just don't know when kind of the process started and how long that works out. And we know that with the contact tracing, that makes it really difficult for, if you're not in a bubble, it makes it really difficult for you to really be able to stage an athletics event. And now Tigers football front and center with that. The recrimination and the blame game, I'm not going to get into that right now. We're just going to go with the reporting of Evan Barnes and Jason Munns at the Commercial Appeal. It's solid, it's dead on, and it is, unfortunately, probably going to be very impactful, Drew, to next Friday night in the Tigers against Houston. I don't know about the remaining portion of the season, but it certainly impacts next Friday night. Good afternoon, Drew.
Good afternoon, Mr. Norsworthy. Yeah, it definitely does impact that September 18th game against Houston. And I had a big feeling from about Sunday morning on that the levee was eventually going to break for the Tigers. Sunday, we started getting some rumors, or maybe not even rumors, just some speculation on what was going on the COVID-19 front for the University of Memphis football team. When you frankly just looked at who played and some notable guys that didn't play Saturday night and weren't on the sideline, so that started to get a little fishy. As Monday night, Tuesday morning, I'm getting reports that there were about 7 positive tests, and then believe Wednesday, I was told that they had stopped practice because due to the fact that they just couldn't fill out enough practice squad teams to even have an actual practice. So the University of Memphis hasn't even practiced since Tuesday, and now up to 20 or more total cases. It's going to be interesting to see what the actual rule, how many, we hear, when with the NBA bubble, 10-day quarantines, then 2 negative tests to be able to get back to training. So it's going to be interesting to see how well these athletes can get this thing out of their body and out of their system to hopefully play Friday, September 18th. But I know Ryan Silverfield and his staff are probably still planning to play that game. Now, will Houston feel safe and comfortable coming up here is a whole nother discussion.
And now you just wonder how far you have to go back to the people in and around the program. Was it just, when the clock struck 0 and the game was over and the party bus in question those, or do we go all the way back to, anybody that was in or around the team from 3 o'clock last Saturday on?
That's a big question, especially with contacting tracing. While tests we know are pretty reliable, at least now the ones that the University of Memphis have are pretty reliable. I don't think that any of these are probably false positives, but unless you're testing every hour on the hour, you can't really know when somebody gets
That's
it
right.
and how long they had gone between tests without possibly spreading it to somebody. So, this you might have to contact trace back to Saturday with Arkansas State, or you may have to go back 4 or 5 days, or at least maybe even a week back to really get it all under control, especially in a program.
And now with the fear factor of this, I don't know that you would or wouldn't from this, but if you were just the innocuous guy down on the sideline and a player came out and you low-fived him, I mean, does that imperil that person? Does somebody after the game, maybe in the parent section, if where they gather, of the outside the South Tunnel, a hug of a player. Hey, great game, so and so. You just don't know if it's that passing or if it's more contact allowed than that. The NFL got started last night. Boy, Andy Reid practically in a hazmat suit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Basically became a meme overnight with that face shield. And man, could he not just have a
welder's
rag
mask
on hand at all times to keep wiping it off? Because goodness gracious, that thing was foggy.
Look, that's what he thinks to be safe. That was more face shield than for about the first 60 years the NFL played with football helmet shield on.
Yeah, about. I mean, it was a weird look. I know a lot.
First 40 years.
Yeah, a lot of coaches will have now said that they were probably going to do it. We saw, coach of the LA Rams. Yeah, John Harbaugh said that he wasn't going to do it. Coach of the Rams throughout all of Hard Knocks.
Sean McVay,
thank you, was wearing it throughout all of Hard Knocks. Who knows if he's going to be sporting it on Sunday too?
Yeah, I mean, and okay, that's what you think you need. I'm not knocking it. Just the look was a little different. High hard one for you to start this Friday afternoon.
All right, I'm ready.
What do you think our next phase of public safety will be? We can take the mask off, or we graduate to the face shield for everyone required. Which one?
I'm going to hope we take the mask off.
Not hope. Which one do you think is going to happen?
Well, how much more effective is the face shield than the mask?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess some particles do get through the mask that we wear, but and I guess they
Remember,
wouldn't get all the way
a few
through
weeks
the shield,
ago.
But
I mentioned it a few weeks ago when Dr. Fauci first suggested he thought that the face mask, the face shield, would probably need to be necessary. And I asked rhetorically and searching for an answer, from the first mention of mandatory mask, how long did it take before they were mandatory, to the first mention of the shield, to how long? And last night, just watching the football game, you watch any cable TV, how many face shield commercials do you see? I don't think they're rolling them out, and they're spending that kind of money for commercials for it not to be necessary or deemed necessary by someone.
yeah, you got a point there.
My answer is shield will be before we take off the mask.
See, I don't mind wearing the mask. I think I'd feel a little silly walking around in a grocery store or into a convenience store with the shield on, but just like with the mask, if it's what they tell me to do, I'll do it. I'll just feel a little silly.
I'm going to follow. If it's the law, I'm going to follow the law. The day they tell me that it's no longer the law, it's no longer required for the mask, I by and large will take it off, but there would be certain settings that I might still wear that mask. I think for a lot of people in cold and flu season, that might become standard gear going forward. Heck, at this point, it may be a requirement for a catcher's mitt or shields or some type of catching equipment.
It ultimately could be, and when
you need shin guards to go out.
I don't think you need to go that far. But when they do say take off the mask, I'm probably still going to keep one in my car. Probably still going to carry one around in my back pocket. But then on the other hand, the masks are there for me to keep other people safe, not for me to be safe from other people. So
but it helps you as well.
It does, but
it helps you as well too. But for this reason, for a long time, I know a person that works. He mows yards. He has a lawn care service business. He always mows with an N95 on. He was mowing with the N95 mask on 10 years ago. Well, he wasn't infecting anybody then. That was for him then. That was for what he said his safety. I've told you about through the years. You go to the airport, say 2 years ago, and you see, man or woman, you see somebody in the airport and you have that on. You know they were going through health issues, maybe some type of chemotherapy treatment or some type of treatment, and they had it on then for them. They weren't projecting anything.
Yeah, that's very true. It does help prevent some things. So like I said, I probably will carry one around, but I think it'd have to take certain situations where I'm in a room with a lot of people sneezing or coughing. I don't think if they tell me I can take the mask off and I'm walking through Kroger and one person sneezes on the other end of the store, I'm not just going to rush and put it on and run out to my car and grab it.
You can't put Andy Reid's big old welding mask on and carry it around in your pocket. That thing, that looked like that old Paramore, Donald Sterling's VDOT's face mask.
Yeah, it did.
What did VDOT know a few years ago that we didn't?
I don't know. Maybe we all should.
Maybe he was that nasty. That's what it was. Sterling was that nasty. She wanted to stay away from him. Yeah, you know that. But Dave, if he joins us at all, it will be in the 5 o'clock hour. But with the Tigers off, Dave away today. We're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun always come together. World's biggest spa sale. Up to 30% off spas and swim spas. Choose from hundreds of different types spas from multiple manufacturers. Special financing available. Special pricing on chemicals and accessories. Professional delivery available. Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Drew Barrett, what is your 9/11 memory?
So
where was the young Drew Barrett that day?
I believe I was in second grade. Yeah, I was in second grade.
Through the eyes of a second grade.
At Carville Elementary School. And the main thing that I really remember about the day 9/11 was that it just felt off, especially around school in the morning when everything started happening. I remember my teacher, Miss Finney, kind of walking in and out of the class, basically giving us a lot more busy work than she normally would. And you could see through the door of teachers gathering in the hallway, I'm guessing to discuss of whether to tell students or not, or leave it up to the parents' discretion of how they want to handle that situation. Ultimately, teachers, if I remember right, did not say anything. I think that night we had a family outing that we were supposed to be going on that got canceled because everybody's trying to figure out what was going on, and the panic of everything. And my mom sat me and my brother down and gently told a 7 and 9-year-old at the time the best way to help them understand and grasp the situation. And just kind of the biggest thing was just the confusion of the day, not really being able to
Good for mom.
grasp
I was with
what
my
happened.
mom that day. Good for moms. And I recited those years and the 19 years removed from some of the seminal demarcation moments of U.S. history. And I did that because for people that weren't alive during that, I know for people that were, say, whatever the age, 40 years old, when the news broke at 12:45 on Friday, November 22nd, 1963, of the events in Dallas, they didn't forget it to their last breath. But for me, I was a year and 18 days old that day. So in 1982, 19 years after President Kennedy's assassination, while respectful of it and knowing of the commemoration of it, I wasn't that moved by it. More moved by just 5 years later by his slain brother, RFK and MLK here in Memphis than I was back, because I was a little bit older and a little more conscious of it, just 5 years removed from it. Space shuttle, yeah, and jarring, but we weren't at war over the space shuttle. We had the potential to be at war over Pearl Harbor, and until we found out that there was no international espionage or collusion with President Kennedy and even RFK and MLK's death, while sad and tragic and big moments, no chance to be at war. On 9/11, we didn't know who it was against, but we knew we were at war.
Yeah, we did. And I think that people around my age, that's basically the story that I've given is the story that I've heard from most of my friends of that's really the only day from whether they were in kindergarten through 3rd or 4th grade, that entire year that you remember. And it's a day like that, regardless of how old you are, if you're have a good sense of awareness about yourself and know what's going on, then you'll never forget it, even if it's just a memory that probably only lasted about 15, 20 minutes.
There are those days that truly, as FDR said, live in infamy. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis. They're at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity September sales event. Great offers on all 2020 models, 2021 soon to arrive, and always special leasing options. If you ever thought I looked great in a Lexus, well, guess what? You will. And Lexus of Memphis will make sure you're in one of their beautiful cars by the end of this weekend. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at the one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis, and that's at 2600 Ridgeway, and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Drew, you first.
My top story of the day, we've pretty much covered it already here in this first segment, but the news out of the University of Memphis football program of 20-plus players having positive test results for COVID-19, plus another 20 more in quarantine due to contact tracing. But something we haven't talked about is How the heck does Houston radio and people from ESPN 97.5 FM in Houston, Texas, have better sources than any of us here in Memphis breaking that story? I think sometime around noon today about the positive test. Man, I really need to know who their deep throat contact is, because that's some Watergate type of investigating.
It was probably from an administrative level at Houston that the University of Memphis administrative level gave them the early heads up.
Probably.
I would guess that would be it, while the University of Memphis administrative level really clamping down and keeping it to the eyes-only club. Houston probably talked about it. I'm guessing Houston probably talked about it a little more. It got to their reporters there before our hours here, but ours here followed up quickly. Sometimes you can be a little too close, and I think that probably largely, mostly was the case. My top story, Notre Dame. Yeah, Notre Dame. They open tomorrow as a one-year member of the ACC. Big Ten dreamed of landing Notre Dame. Heck, the SEC, anybody would take Notre Dame. If Notre Dame called and said, we want to be in your league, we're not paying you
sign up right
as an entry fee. You take them. SEC, everybody pound your chest. It just means more. SEC takes them, and there's no entry fee. There's no membership fee. There's no vote. You say, come on in. Come on, enjoy the party. But the ACC, they've slowly built a relationship with Notre Dame, and now this year, aided by a global pandemic, Notre Dame, they had to join a conference for this year in what has already been and sure to be, before the year ends, the weirdest college football season ever.
Not top story of the day.
I promised that I didn't really have this plan that we would already talk about both my top and not top stories when I typed this out about an hour ago. But my not top story is obviously Andy Reid and his face shield last night, as many people around the NFL, including Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, has now decided to ditch the idea of wearing the shield on Sunday and just going with a normal mask. Reid's face shield, I think, will finally take over for the best Andy Reid meme since the Waffle House menu one. Do you remember that one?
I do, with all the plays and stuff on it, and everybody, the laminated play sheet that everybody calls the Waffle House or IHOP, whatever you want to call it, order sheet. Yeah, Andy Reid, and as the game built, you could see the condensation building as the night went on. And
did he not just think to get a towel?
Look, Andy Reid with the big kind of Wilford Brimley mustache already. I don't know what he had for a pregame meal, but he probably tasted it and breathed it all night coming back to him off that shield. I mean, he was sitting there eating the pregame meal for about 6 hours. It felt like my not top story is NFL in Kansas City. The Chiefs, they picked up right where they left off in the Super Bowl, but then they did something else. John Harden, I want you to hear this. Stop right there. Kansas City Chiefs last night. Anybody notice the box score? 34 rushes. If they run the ball 34 times a game, impossible to stop Patrick Mahomes. 34 rushes. The rookie knocked it out of the park, but there were others. And if they can run it like that, look out. Houston, they got to get Deshaun Watson some help. It's not just Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. They got to get more of a line, or we're going to have a repeat of the oldest car in Houston with a great young quarterback wreck before he really can ever get started. When we come back from the break, we will visit with Bruce Marshall from the Goal Sheet. He will give us the Vegas odds on all the games this weekend, college and pro, NBA, Major League Baseball, and maybe talk some tennis, even some soccer with Bruce, as he loves it so much. At 4 o'clock, Alan Bell from CBS Sports on same subject matter, college and pro football. 4:30, high school football with Coach Glenn Rogers. We love that. He joins us at 4:30. Andy Schiffman on the NBA, Memphis native, Chicago-based NBA agent. He talks NBA with us at 5 and at 5:30. We make the picks for the First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast, and we wrap up the day about 5:50 with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But from the Goal Sheet in Las Vegas on all the odds for the weekend, up next, Bruce Marshall.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Frontier Western Store is open and ready to serve you for all your needs in boots, apparel, pet food, and more. For Frontier is proud to be a local leader here in the Mid-South when it comes to boots. Stop by the store today for an incredible selection of name brand work and dress boots. Come browse aisles and aisles of top quality boots at everyday low prices in our world famous boot showroom. Dan Post, Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, Georgia, Ariat, and many more. There are so many styles, colors, and fits available, you might need a hand picking out your favorites. Luckily, Frontier's knowledgeable sales staff will cheerfully assist you with any questions you have and ensure the proper fit of your new boots. Frontier also has an amazing selection of jeans and shirts by Wrangler, Ariat, and Carhartt, as well as a fully stocked women's boutique department with thousands of tops and dresses at unbelievable prices. New arrivals often. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Gilman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Eli Savoy here from Sports 56 Middays. I love to play golf, and one of my favorite places to play is Stonebridge Golf Course. Living out in Lakeland, it's very convenient for me, but it's also easy to get to from anywhere in the area. I love the layout out at Stonebridge, and the course is in great shape. You can visit stonebridgegolf.com to book a tee time and see what I'm talking about for yourself. Along with the great course, they've got a nice driving range for you to work on your game. And if you mention Sports 56, you'll get a free bucket of balls with a round of golf. That's right, just mention Sports 56. They also invite you to book any event you've got coming up in their beautiful clubhouse. With the weather cooling down, it's a great time of year to play golf, and the place to play is Stonebridge Golf Course in Lakeland, the premier course of the Mid-South. Visit stonebridgegolf.com or call 901-382-1886 to make a tee time, and don't forget to mention Sports 56 for a free bucket of balls with your round of golf. Get out, play golf, have some fun, and do it at Stonebridge Golf Course.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochen and Brett Norsworthy.
Alongside my buddy, my friend, our great producer, Drew Barrett. Dave away today. He might join us in the final hour by phone. Jump in, visit with Andy Schiffman, and maybe make some picks on our Friday football forecast. But with the Tigers away, Dave needed a little time away, and he'll be back with us on Monday. If you want to join our show, you can at 360-8255. That's the First Bank telephone number, and the First Bank text line, as always, 67129. 67129 at the First Bank text line. If you want to ask about some of these games we're going to go over with Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, hit us up right now. And Bruce Marshall, he indeed joins us now. And Bruce, every time I start thinking about it, it feels like it should, and it's a little bit of a feeling of normality, we get a blockbuster. And the blockbuster came about an hour ago right here in Memphis. 20 players testing positive, another 20 in quarantine from a post-game party bus travel. I don't even want to say incident, but on a party bus last Saturday night after the game, and now in jeopardy, possibly in peril, next Friday night's game against Houston. It is a minefield to work through to have a season. It's got to be for you guys on odds and on putting your money where your mouth is. It's tough, Bruce Marshall. It's tough out here.
It is, Brad, and, it's nice to have football started, but this is football 2020, college version at least, and let's just hope the NFL doesn't have some of these issues too. But we knew there were more hurdles and more potential potholes on the college side here, just because it was going to be more difficult to isolate all these guys than the pro leagues could, at least I think, certainly in the bubbles they have in the NBA and NHL. But the havoc it's wreaking, there's a couple of two-pronged sort of. One, in putting a publication together. The hardest thing this year is the college schedule, which usually it's laid out well in advance, and there's schedule books, and we all kind of work our prep time and laying out the publication with the schedule in a schedule order. And there's a rotation where all the games are listed in the Las Vegas sports books, and we always, list the games in that order. That hasn't been this year. They're making up that as it goes because the schedule keeps changing. And the original schedule that we all thought in the spring is out the window, as we know. So that, first of all, there's a challenge in putting publications together. And then you've got the late postponements. We had 2 featured games this week that we had in our publications on the weekend. That would have been Oak State and would have been Louisiana Lafayette. La Tech. La Tech. Right. Is still playing, as far as I know. La Tech. And,
they're playing Iowa State.
Games, but La Tech postponed and Oak State postponed. So we had to make some quick adjustments in the publications. After we went online, you can do that. We're not printing anymore like we used to, but in the old days, we would have been out of luck because once you print it, that's what it is. At least online, we can change. But it's forcing us to juke and jive a little bit more than we're used to, and that's just the way I think it's going to be all season. We haven't seen the last postponement in college football for sure.
No, hard enough to pick them when you know who's playing and when they're playing. Even more difficult to do it when you don't. Last night's one and only college game, Miami, 14.5-point favorite or so over UAB. They had Vegas nailed that one. They had it set right on, for plenty of action on both sides with the U, but barely getting there, but getting there indeed, 31-17 over the Blazers of UAB. I was impressed with UAB, but Miami had a little more, and they should. You mentioned ooh la la. Let's start there with 2 young coaches with a lot of bright prospects for both. One a little more advanced than the other one, but Iowa State, 11.5-point favorite over the Raging Cajuns from Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah, the only thing that concerns me a wee bit here about ooh la la going up there tomorrow is that when ULM went up there last year to Ames, the Cyclones dropped a 72-point bomb on them. So they have done that to a Sun Belt team before. Although the Raging Cajuns are a little bit tougher. In fact, they're really good. And they've been good since Billy Napier got there. His point spread mark is excellent, 16-7-2 his last 25 against the number. And they've got most of their weapons back from what was a very high-powered offense, especially on the ground last year. Levi Lewis, the quarterback, those running backs, Mitchell and Regas. They're gonna challenge ISU tomorrow. This is Iowa State's non-conference game this year. And people there have told us in the past, Brett, that the Cy-Hawk game, the Iowa rivalry, it takes on such proportion for Iowa State that it sometimes really distracts them early in the season, more than it does for Iowa. Not that the results have borne out, because Iowa's beaten Iowa State more than not, but Iowa State works itself into a frenzy, and oftentimes that impacts it in games surrounding the Iowa game. They don't have to worry about Iowa this year, so in that regard, maybe it's a plus for Iowa State. And Brock Purdy's going to be a first-round pick coming out. He's going to come out early, I think, next April, the quarterback for Iowa State. Having said that, though, we'll give Billy Napier a shot here. This is a very live underdog, might be the best Sun Belt team this year. And we thought it would be kind of exciting up in Ames. 35-31 Cyclones. This is an underdog we're going to take tomorrow.
really good game, 35-31. Iowa State gets there in winning, but Louisiana Lafayette gets there with the cash. Way past Bruce and Brett someday. Drew, you're going to be going, that old man called it in 2020. In 15, 20 years, top of the college football coaching industry will be Billy Napier. Mark it down, Drew.
I'll mark it down for sure in my calendar to go back and look at it here in 15, 20 years.
Now, forgive me on the Detroit Lion pick.
No, I'm going to mark that one down as well. But Bruce,
I went crazy this week, picked the Detroit Lions to win the NFC North. Don't laugh.
There you go.
Thank you, Bruce. Go ahead, Drew.
It's 2020. Anything could happen this year.
Yeah, that's very true. Anything definitely could happen. Staying with a Big 12 team, and the biggest line that I've seen all day, Texas minus 43 at home against UTEP. Is that an easy bet on UTEP, or can Texas actually get there?
There's no such thing as an easy bet on UTEP. Remember that. So keep that in mind. They're making us pay for Texas here. Oh, are they making us pay for Texas? But listen, the Miners came out last week in the Sun Bowl, and I don't know that they let anybody in, but I don't know that it mattered there. If anybody would have went anyway to watch them play Stephen F. Austin, and they had a struggle with the Lumberjacks deep, and that's a team that was 3-9 in the Southland last year, and they were life and death with SFA into the fourth quarter. Tom Herman's numbers as an underdog have been better than as a favorite, although he did cover some of the bigger prices last year. And I think if he is under the pressure, I think he is down there, and he's made some switches in his staff, and he's brought Chris Ash down as his new defensive coordinator. They worked together at Ohio State for Urban, and of course Ash had been at Rutgers in recent years as the head coach. But this is now an experienced defense this year, which it wasn't at the start last year when they lost that game to LSU. But Sam Ehlinger also is back, and they brought Mike Yurcich down from Ohio State, where he did a great job last year after he'd been at Oak State, coordinating the offense. And they might just run up a score here. Ehlinger's got to get kind of used to his new wideouts. They like these kids, but they don't have quite as much the experience as they had the target-wise last year for Ehlinger. They also have this freshman running back, Bijan Robinson, might get a test run here. Texas can do it if it wants, and I have a feeling Herman wants to do it. 55-7. We're going to take Texas tomorrow night.
Laying the 43, and the Texas Longhorns get there. Boy, that's a lot of points for a 60-minute game. They're almost favored by as long as the game is set for on the clock, Bruce. One from the AAC, South Alabama hosting Tulane. Tulane, a road 10-point favorite.
Yeah, you wonder. Now they're opening up a new stadium in Mobile, and I guess they're going to let up to 25% of the fans in, from what we hear. That'll put about 6,250 in there if people want to show up. So we will see. But USA pretty good last week, and really good. Trotter, the quarterback, had an excellent effort, and they beat a Southern Miss program that has got a lot of problems right now. And we'll get into that more maybe next week. But good start for Steve Campbell. He's had a rough first couple of years there. But we know this guy can coach. He won at Central Arkansas. He won at Delta State. He won in the JC ranks. He didn't inherit much from Joey Jones. The Jags sort of flattened out at the end of his regime. But that looked like a different team last week, and Trotter looks to give them something at quarterback. I like Willie Fritz a lot, but he's breaking a new quarterback, and USA might not be an easy touch this year. So we're going to react to last week and think USA keeps this thing close. Updated score forecast 31-29 to Greenies. I think Willie Fritz pulls it out, but we're not laying this many points out on the road.
Bruce. South Alabama plus all those points as the home underdog. Drew?
Bruce, going local here, does Arkansas State, right now they're a plus 13, do they cover in Manhattan for the second week straight?
Drew, I think they might, Drew. I think K-State, some of that, Kleiman can coach. We know that. I mean, he won at North Dakota State, and we know his credentials, but this was not an offensive juggernaut last year, and they've got some replenishing to do on both sides of the line of scrimmage. This is a capable Sun Belt team that was in that game with Memphis last week and lost touch a little in the fourth quarter, but did get inside the number. I don't think K-State's as potent as Memphis. And I think they're going to back up a little bit this year, just my gut feel. Arkansas State might be able to go up there and put up a pretty good fight. This actually Kansas State. This is its one non-conference game, and their non-conference schedule beforehand looked like they might be able to sweep through it. This actually is a little tougher game than what K-State was going to have in its original schedule. So with that offense there, I think Ark State hangs around. 24-17 K-State. We think they'll pull it out, but we take the points with the Red Wolves.
Good game for a local team, Arkansas State, plus the points up at Manhattan, Kansas. One more college for me, one more for Drew, and then we'll get into the NFL with you, Bruce, on your Super Bowl pick and for this weekend. And I'm going to go to Notre Dame playing in the ACC and laying 20.5 in the inaugural voyage against Duke.
Yeah, last year Notre Dame got Duke pretty good, November 38-7, but Duke had slowed down at the end of last year. So keep that in mind. Ian Book, I think, is a peripheral Heisman contender. A Notre Dame quarterback you never want to dismiss, and I think he could put up some very big numbers this year. If Trevor Lawrence backs up just a little bit this year, Book could be one of those guys to fill the void in the Heisman race. So just keep that in mind as well. There's two interesting things here. One, Chase Bryce comes in there at quarterback for Duke. The Clemson transfer, we got a very brief look at him. The last couple of years, usually in mop-up duty, but he did save that game against Syracuse 2 years ago that kept Clemson unbeaten. He is, in 2 years ago at least, he has looked good when he's been in there. Let's see if he can handle the Cutcliffe offense. And that's the other thing. Cutcliffe is back to calling plays this year. He got away from that the last few seasons. But Brett, from Ole Miss and Tennessee before that, and his first decade or so at Duke, that's what he did. That's what he loves to do. And he delegated that a little bit too much the last couple of years, and he says, nope, I'm going back. I'm doing it again. So he's calling plays again. I think that's a big plus for Duke. And this is a pretty big number, unless Notre Dame might try to run up this score late. I'm not sure they can do it. If Bryce can handle the Cutcliffe offense, and every indication we're getting is that he can. 33-24, Irish, they win. Book might put up some pretty good numbers, but I think Duke offers some value at this heavy price.
Goal sheet says take the Blue Devils. Drew?
Bruce, staying with the ACC, my last college football game I really want to get your opinion on is former Memphis Tigers head coach Mike Norvell in his first season at Florida State. How do you see his first game with the Seminoles going against Georgia Tech?
Drew, we lean to the Seminoles, but I don't love this spot. I'd rather see, how Florida State looks. They have backed up the last couple of years, and I think this goes back to Jimbo's last couple of years there. The recruiting dropped off. This program kind of lost its way, somewhere in there when Jameis was quarterback after that first big year, and they've been kind of steadily sliding backwards since, and then it certainly accelerated the last 2 years. They haven't been back-to-back years without a bowl since Bobby Bowden's first year and the previous year at Darryl Mudra. So you're going back to the mid-'70s for that. So this is a long time ago. Blackman, I don't know that he can handle what Norvell's offense. He's going to be using what we saw at Memphis last year. So they're going to go up tempo. They're going to spread it. I'm not sure Blackman can handle it, and the guys down there we talked to aren't sure either. But this is why I think Norvell's an upgrade from Taggart. I think he'll get that turned around because he's got a track record and he's very sharp. This is more a vote against Georgia Tech right now. It was a very bumpy ride for Jeff Collins last year. He was trying to fit his new offense in to Paul Johnson's recruits, basically, and a lot of kids that were recruited to run the ball and be running backs. He was moving them all over offense and defense last year. They were playing out of the positions they were recruited for. And I'm not sure they've turned it around yet. And it's going to be tougher for Collins to win up here or win down in Atlanta than it was up at Temple when he did pretty well for a couple of years. So this is mostly an anti-Georgia Tech vote. 27-10, Florida State. We'll lay it 27-10 Seminoles tomorrow.
Seminoles over the Ramblin' Wreck. Bruce, we got to get in hurry up, no huddle offense here. Give us 2 or 3 of your favorites from the NFL and your eventual Super Bowl and Super Bowl winner. And if we left out something that you love that you want to give out, you can. And then tell our listeners how they can get more information from you.
One more college game real quick. Texas San Antonio. There's no way Texas State should be laying this much, even though it looked good against SMU last week. New coach Jeff Traylor for UTSA. That's too many points. You're getting the Roadrunners plus a TD. NFL. Baltimore has shot out of the chute like a rocket the last 4 years. John Harbaugh has won and covered for last four openers. Total score 139-20 in those games. Cleveland, I don't know what the hype is about them. Again, they've got their win total at 8.5. What do people see in Cleveland here? I'm going to predict something. Case Keenum's going to be in there at quarterback before the season is over for Baker Mayfield. I'm not sure Kevin Stefanski's the answer. Baltimore big in that one, 33-17. I'm taking Jacksonville with Gardner Minshew. I think that's why they didn't go after Cam. They didn't go after Andy Dalton. I'm not sure they're ready to tank this year. Tell Doug Marrone, the coach, that his job's on the line. And I'm not sure Phillip Rivers is going to be the answer for Indy either, although I do like Frank Wright. Indy wins close but not cover. We'll take Jacksonville plus the points. And Green Bay, I'm already 1-0 with the Packers this year. Predicted that Aaron Rodgers and Danica Patrick would split. They did. 1-0 there with Green Bay. But last year it was the defense that really shut down Minnesota and Kirk Cousins. They only completed 47% over the two games, and Green Bay beat them twice. Green Bay plus the points. Take the Packers. As for my Super Bowl picks, Baltimore and San Francisco. And in the rare Super Bowl loser to bounce back and win the next year, I'm going to take the 49ers.
San Fran gets the revenge from Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans against Drew's Ravens. Bruce Marshall, fantastic tour de force performance, as always, on a Friday football fiesta with us. Tell our listeners how they can get more information from you and from the Gold Sheet and Vegas Insiders.
Thanks, Brett. Check us out online, goldsheet.com. And it's a new look Gold Sheet, easier to read, all online this year. First issue is out there right now. New issue will come on Monday morning. Goldsheet.com, my picks up there. And football picks for this weekend. You can also get my picks at VegasInsider.com and DonBest.com. Read me too, VSiN's Point Spread Weekly.
Bruce, have a great weekend. So fun talking to you. You're the best. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Bruce.
You got it. Bruce Marshall with us every Friday from the Gold Sheet. 67129 at the First Bank text line and 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. First Bank, visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. And First Bank, they know what you need. A reliable, trustworthy Memphis banker that can give you a direct answer about your business and do it in a timely fashion. They make the decisions for you right here in Memphis, for Memphis right here in Memphis. A direct answer from the First Bank banker you're dealing with. First Bank, with stories and a record of customers reaching high. Community banks are the preferred lender of people building a success story. Build that success story with First Bank. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. We will make our college football playoff predictions and eventual national championship game and winners. And I've got Dave's. Drew, you better have yours ready.
I'm
I've
ready.
got mine. It's a little bit copy and paste as college football has been the last few years. That's up next.
It's R&R on sports.
The word is out about R&R on sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
R&R on sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1.
Don't miss us.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
You hear the phrase all day, every day. In these uncertain times this, in these uncertain times that. Well, in these uncertain times, one thing I know for certain, you want you some Central Barbecue. Central Barbecue is open for you to dine in or carry out, online orders and curbside pickup. And another thing you can be certain about is this. We are doing everything in our power to keep you and our staff safe. You can be sure that everyone working at any Central Barbecue is following every safety protocol there is, and they'll encourage you to do the same. Come on in and get some Central Barbecue. And yes, your face covering is probably going to end up with some sauce on it. A small price to pay for safety.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Chris Price here for Brian Elder Roofing. The storms we've had over the past several months have been devastating to our communities. The rainy season is ahead. You may have not even noticed the dripping in your attic, water stains throughout your home, or even worse, mold and mildew. Please call Brian Elder Roofing and we will send out our project managers to assess any damage. We will not try to sell you a roof if all you need is a repair. We will measure your roof from outer space. 0% for 60 months, even no payments till 2022 are available with approved credit. If you've noticed missing shingles, water stains, leaks in your roof, call us before you call your insurance company at 867-0303. That's 867-0303, and we will provide a free, thorough inspection of your roof's condition.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Let's go with Go-Go Squeeze. We're going, growing, standing tall, climbing, laughing, hide and seeking, giving our all.
Our kids' days are filled with adventure, and Go-Go Squeeze is there for every run, jump, step of the way. Made from wholesome ingredients like 100% fruit and veggies, real yogurt, and no artificial anything in Go Anywhere pouches, so our kids can keep going wherever their adventures take them. Go-Go Squeeze. You make the memories, we'll make the snacks. Find us in the applesauce aisle.
Let's go.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has what you need to keep your engine performing at its best. Our professional parts people will help you select just the right products for your car and budget, like 5 quarts of Castrol GTX conventional or high mileage motor oil and a MicroGuard filter, just $28.99. Plus earn double O Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
We welcome you back. Closing out hour number 1. Hour number 2, we'll start with Alan Bell from CBS Sports on this weekend's NFL games, college football, some ratings news from last night around the NFL, and ratings news from around the world of sports since the restart of sports late July. College football playoff come late December with the finals in early January of 2021, and we're stuck in this perpetual college football 4 teams, I think, for the playoffs. Here's Dave's. He has Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia. Those are just as sound as they can be, with Alabama and Clemson playing in the final and Clemson being the eventual national champion. Drew, your picks?
I've got 3 of those for sure. I've got Alabama, Clemson. I've got OU in there, and I'm going to say a group of 5 team finally gets in. If we finish the season,
this is the year.
Didn't really know all the numbers of what had happened today when I wrote this out, but I do have Memphis in there. I think this is the year to finally get a group of 5 team in.
I'm not going.
And who's going to really remember I said this September 11th when it comes down?
But
I mean,
but I won't crush you over it.
I appreciate it.
And I don't think it is crushable in this year, because I'm going off the grid and not having OU with too many losses in the Big 12. It could happen, a mutual assured destruction in all these leagues. A lot of teams scratched up. So if you had one sail through unfettered, I think they would be and should be rewarded. Who's your eventual national champ?
I've got Clemson versus Bama for what feels like the umpteenth thousand time in a row, and I'll give it to Clemson.
And the Tigers in the national semis against whom? I
have the Tigers against OU. Or, no, against Bama. Yeah, Bama there at second. Would that Tigers the 4 seed.
How great would that be? Would you enjoy
Phenomenal.
that?
I'd love it.
It would be. All right, here's mine. Number 1 seed, Alabama. Number 2 seed, Clemson, as champions of the AAC. 3, after winning the regular season battle in South Bend over Clemson, but then losing in the ACC championship game, Notre Dame being my 4 seed, with the 3 seed being Georgia from the SEC. 1 seed Bama, 2 seed Clemson, 3 seed Georgia, 4 seed Notre Dame. So it'd be Bama versus 4 seed Notre Dame. How about that for TV ratings? And the other game would be Clemson against Georgia. They're getting ready to start non-conference, and they've had a great history of playing each other. My finals, Bama over Clemson, and I called it way back when. I think this is the last year for Coach Nick Saban. What a way for him to go out. What could go wrong with any of those picks? Probably not a lot. Your comment?
I'm sorry. I had a conversation with Eli about the weekend shows. I didn't pick that up. I'm sorry. Kind of
Bama over Clemson, and Nick Saban steps away.
Wouldn't be the craziest thing I've heard, and we've been wondering when it finally is going to come. He's getting up there in age, even though looking pretty well for a guy his age, and you would think that he's got another 3 to 5 years, but with all the turmoil and everything going on in the world today, it wouldn't be that shocking if he says, just give me one more ring and I'm out.
Every time I say I'm not, you always say, you sure do talk about him a lot and very fondly like you are. Again, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Notre Dame fan.
They were your top story today, Brett.
I know. I do love their piece in college football history. I think that and the Alabama thing are the two biggest things. In fact, last year, the 150th anniversary of college football, I did a show and a guy asked me, to a complete stranger that didn't know one thing about college football, what do you think they need to know to get up to speed on college football? I said, learn the Notre Dame thing and learn the Alabama thing. And that would get you up, I think, conversing
pretty much
about the history of college football. But probably leaves out a whole lot, but if you just had a couple things to kind of have down, I think that would hold you in pretty good stead. 1 hour in the books. When we come back, we talk NFL this weekend, NFL from last night, and college football from this weekend, and the ratings world, and some gambling odds with Alan Bell. He's next from CBS Sports.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
Golfers, want to know how to fix your slice? Then come to Edwin Watts Golf Shop and check out Callaway's brand new Big Bertha B21 family. The Big Bertha irons have been engineered with AI technology for fast ball speeds and amazing forgiveness. And the all-new Big Bertha woods are made for distance. And the large Big Bertha head is specifically engineered with internal drop bias weighting to help improve your launch angles and promote a straighter, longer ball flight. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops to get custom fit for the new Callaway Big Bertha B21 family today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today, shop our aggressive lease and finance options now, luxury is waiting at Acura of Memphis, or shop online 24/7, visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
When the idea of divorce becomes a reality, you need someone on your side. If you are a man in this situation, you should consider contacting Cordell & Cordell, who has helped men navigate complex family legal issues for 30 years. Visit us at CordellCordell.com to learn more.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Memphis attorneys. Online at CordellCordell.com. Office in Memphis, 6000 Poplar Avenue, Suite 225, Memphis, Tennessee, 38119.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
I thought it was glorious last night to have Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth in our living rooms, Michelle Tafoya. not from the sidelines, kind of from the lower bowl area of Arrowhead Stadium, and a outstanding performance by the Kansas City Chiefs as they rushed the ball 34 times and really an easy win over the Houston Texans. If they run the ball 34 times and do it effectively, there's no stopping Patrick Mahomes. And might not be if he had to sit back there and fog it around about 65 times a game. Might not be any stopping him, but it's sure not if they get any semblance of balance. We continue the NFL talk from last night and into the weekend, Sunday afternoon, full 12 o'clock slate and 3 o'clock windows, and then the Sunday night game, and then 2 on Monday night, a full day of college football tomorrow, and we do it with Alan Bell from CBS Sportsline. Often with us, and we talk a myriad of subjects, ratings and odds and games and things like that. You can follow Alan Bell at ALLAN, Alan Bell, BELL 247. Terrific Twitter follow. And Alan, I think one of the reasons you can feel from you, and I know from knowing you, the sunny disposition. You're trying to have fun with this. You don't want to fight with everybody on Twitter. You want to have fun with sports. What the heck?
I do. First, I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, we're just in, it's just been such a tough year on everybody. Obviously, we've got a lot of, kind of active political climate going on, so it's tough sometimes to just have, conversations, about things because people can get heated. But, yeah, man, football's back. It was nice to just sit down, have a beer, and watch a game last night.
Wasn't it? It was fun to watch, and for that brief moment of just get out there in fantasy land that sports is supposed to be, Alan. It's supposed to be our escape. It was fun to escape to sports. And you had a lively dialogue today on Twitter talking about ratings. And we were a little worried about this with the onslaught of sports and it kind of everything at the same time. It's almost been too much, but we're going to take it like it is. And you tweeted out earlier today at someone saying that the TV rating for the NFL last night, one of the lowest NFL openers in the last few years, but how it really ranks with TV watching this year. And this great tweet from you. You tweeted the Kentucky Derby's ratings were down 49% year over year. In fact, it was the lowest rated Derby in its broadcast history. You continued with, I don't remember Tiz the Law taking a knee. He didn't. And last night's NFL ratings, as you explained, I want you to explain for our audience just how it really fared since the Super Bowl back in February.
Yeah, definitely. So, I think we've got some people who want to make, the ratings almost, a political drive. Now, yeah, I mean, they weren't, comparatively, as high as a couple years past, but nothing really, TV-wise has been. Like you said, with the Kentucky Derby, it's down 49%. It's the lowest broadcast ever. But if you look at the NFL game last night, it was the highest-rated sporting event TV-wise since the Super Bowl, and it was the second highest-rated TV event, only behind the Academy Awards. So what we have to do is we just have to keep, things in perspective. That I think if anybody's comparing 2020 ratings or sales or anything, to previous years, you're just going to come up with bad data because this is just such an odd year of what we're dealing with right now. Let me say this. The political aspect and the activism and everything in sports, that is a story. Like, I'm not saying that it isn't. I just don't think that it's this story, right? So I think we just have to keep things in perspective of where they are. But I also don't want to downplay, the political climate that we do have in sports. That is a story, absolutely. I'm not saying that it isn't.
Yeah, and you make that clear in your tweets and in your commentary. And we're going to have this weekend, we're going to have it this year, we're going to have it going forward. We are going to have protest and activism.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's going to be there now. And let me say this, I fall pretty in the middle of where it is. And I know that sometimes it's hard to do that. But I could see and appreciate and respect pretty much all sides that are rational that come into it, right? Like people that just want sports.
I sure want to. Yeah,
absolutely. Like I certainly understand, people that just want sports. I totally get that. And I respect your opinion about it. And I respect the players, for what they're standing up for as well. I think what we're seeing is, there's no, easy answer of what to do. And it's going to take, a whole lot more than just a small segment of people. So it's tough. Like I want that to be understood. It's a tough place to be, and I certainly respect and appreciate, everybody that has a rational opinion. I understand. I totally get it.
I do too, and their voices. I'm sorry, Drew. Their voices should be heard and will be heard. But also, I do just want my Sunday of NFL. But this year and maybe going forward, my Sunday in NFL could entail other things. Drew, I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. I'm with you, Alan. As long as it's rational, I'm much more open to having a conversation, regardless of what the topic is. And I'll listen to anybody giving a rational argument and a calm argument, and not yelling at me through Twitter or through our text line. It's a lot easier to have dialogue with them. But going back to
I'll take you irrational, guys. Come on, it's sports. It brings out a lot of passion.
But
send the irrational to Brett.
going back to the ratings is something that I've never really been able to fully wrap my head around or really understand if it counts. A lot of people my age, in our mid-20s, we've cut the cord. We're streaming everything, and especially now when we've all been wrapped up in our houses for so long, that when the restaurants are open now here in Memphis, Tennessee to 10 o'clock, I will go somewhere and watch a game. Are my eyeballs being counted for those ratings, either in a restaurant or streaming?
Well, that's a good question, right? So, I mean, obviously the what is generally used. Not everyone is counted. There's certainly percentages that are built in, for key demographics, et cetera, things like that. I think that it's much easier to get a good handle on, digital viewing, which you said, there's a lot of people that have cut cords, a lot of people that are on the move that might tune in via, mobile or iPad or anything like that. You look at the digital numbers, they were up 55% last night. So I think it goes to show exactly what you were saying. That there are a lot of, different and new, ways to consume media, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's another good point is that, the numbers that we use comparatively, once you go back, 3-4 years, I'm not saying that the numbers don't add up or make sense, but they're just different, and you have to kind of, take that into account that we're consuming a lot differently than we did 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even 365 days ago.
We're talking to Alan Bell from CBS Sports. And, Alan, I think I want my eyeballs counted in the ratings world more than I want my vote counted in November.
I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that.
And this from Austin Karp on Twitter, a really good TV ratings follower and Twitter follow, but he really follows it closely. Last night, 20.3 million was watched on NBC. Last year for the kickoff game, Packers and Bears kicking off the 100th year of the NFL, 22.2 million. 2018, Falcons Eagles, 19 million. 2017, 21, almost 22 million with Chiefs and Patriots. In 2016, 25.2 million. From 2003 to 2008, the game never topped 20 million. So while maybe down, I bet you on Park Avenue, Alan, they can live with 20 million watching last night.
Yeah, they definitely can. I mean, they're always going to want that, that this year number to be higher than that last year. But yeah, I mean, there was some money made last night. And let me say, NBC had no problem selling advertising for it. I can assure you on that.
Alan's kind of switching over since you are in Nashville. And speaking of money, Vanderbilt and finally announcing today that they're not going to have any fans. Are they even concerned about any money revenue loss just due to the fact that even when you're allowed to have 100% capacity, there never is?
Well, that's a great question because if you look at Vanderbilt, it is such an anomaly in terms of not only the SEC, but college sports as a whole, right? Like, it's a much smaller university. It's a private university. Obviously, a lot of the money that comes into that school is non-athletics, right? Like, I mean, it's so much more in terms of medicine, education, et cetera, things like that. So they view things differently. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the school's not going to want, zero fans to be there, and Vanderbilt's dealing with some issues that the entire city of Nashville is. The Tennessee Titans, playing home in week 2 next week against the Jaguars, and they can't have fans in Nissan Stadium either. So, I mean, it's not something that's just Vanderbilt. It's the city in Davidson County. But yeah, I mean, it's not. Let me say this: it's not going to affect Vanderbilt too terribly much. I mean, it's not great, but they bring in a lot of revenue and a lot of donations from other areas that some of the SEC schools don't.
SEC not playing tomorrow. SEC not playing next weekend. SEC playing the last weekend of September when it finally gets started. But ACC gets going tomorrow. Big 12 gets going. You got any games you love?
You know, I'm looking at the schedule, and we were going over it, this week of there's nothing, terribly that sticks out to you. I think Georgia Tech, Florida State could be a decent game. Although I don't know how good Georgia Tech necessarily, is going to be. You've got a little bit of a Western Kentucky, Louisville, a little bit of a rivalry game in there. Obviously, really what I want to look at is I want to see North Carolina. I want to see how good they are. Obviously, they're opening against Syracuse, and I want to see Clemson. Right, like they're not going to have much of a problem, against Wake Forest, but I kind of want to see how these big teams come out, without really an off season for everybody. And let me say this: what I'm most interested in finding out, because I don't think the NFL is going to deal with this as much as college will, is kind of the level of where these teams are in week one, right? Because you've got a lot of college players that were probably home all summer during this quarantine time, didn't have anywhere to work out. They're not NFL players that could go buy a gym, and put it in their house. And a lot of gyms, honestly were closed, so they probably didn't have, any way really to work out unless you just did like the Herschel Walker, you just run and push-ups, right? So I want to see what the level of conditioning, is. Is there a big difference between players at Clemson compared to players at, a lower, tier D1 type school? I think that there's going to be a pretty big difference. And I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm interested to see it on Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard to be real self-motivated, but for Herschel Walker, all he needed was some resistance, whether it was doing push-ups or set-ups, or if he just had to go over and pick up somebody's house to work out. He always would kind of find a way to do it. In the ACC this year, Notre Dame playing as a member of the ACC, I think they're big three quarterbacks. It starts with Trevor Lawrence, then it goes to the quarterback at North Carolina, and then to Ian Book. That's a big three, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. There's another thing. What is it going to look like? Not only this Saturday, but through the entire season, and players like that, big name quarterbacks, and even other positions, right? Like, what is it going to look like going into the draft for next year? Because you've got, like you said, Notre Dame's playing, in a conference this year, so it's certainly different from them. You look at the ACC, Big 12, SEC, they're playing different types of schedules. They're not even all playing the same amount of games, right? So, what does it look like? How good do these quarterbacks get throughout the season? There's just so many questions. This is just such a different year than we've ever really dealt with before. I'm just intrigued, to just see and learn what comes of it. I don't have any answers, but I'm excited to find out, week in, week out.
And the news now breaking that Memphis has paused all football activities because of the outbreak of positive COVID tests. The Tigers will make a determination about playing next Friday's game with Houston next week. That's from Brett McMurphy and all the local reporters from the Commercial Appeal reporting the same thing. Also, some pushback from some of the Tiger players concerning the party bus. We will get more into that, but it's going to be that all year, Drew. It's going to be for a lot of teams. This will not be the only one, and it could be week to week for a lot of teams.
It could definitely be week to week, and one of the players on Twitter that is debating that, saying there wasn't any party bus, Goodson, for the Tigers. I personally heard a house party, but who knows exactly what it was. But Alan, with COVID, we've had some coaches saying that they aren't going to release numbers. They're going to just treat it like an injury, then put them on IR. Do you think that's right, that they should be allowed to kind of hide it from public and from the team that they're going to be playing?
I think that's one of the best questions in sports right now, honestly, because let me say this. I don't really have an opinion either way. I certainly understand, from a health perspective. But again, I don't really know, if the coaches, came out and said it, for fans and media whatsoever, I don't really know what I would do with that information anyway, right? So I don't know if that would necessarily, I don't know if that's helping, the health effort. I have no idea. But I do understand where coaches are coming from saying that they're not going to give that info up because that's how coaches roll. College, NFL, I mean, you name it, right? So I find that part intriguing. I can understand and appreciate the gamesmanship, that goes into that. So it's fascinating. I don't have an answer. I wish I did, but I don't have a strong opinion either way. I just kind of like it in sports. I mean, that's just what we like in football. So it's fascinating. What do you guys think? Is it something that should be shared, not shared?
Well, what I fear is the precedent being set going forward with going forward, it's going to be no news. It's going to be no contact. I mean, for whenever the virus ends, I know what some college football coaches how they operate, and they'll use it as an excuse in 100 years. But, oh, no, we can't have any contact because they're scared to death of anything getting out. And I'm afraid with it naturally being a legitimate reason this year, but going forward, it's going to freeze a lot of people out. Sunday in the NFL, full slate of games, a lot of noon games, a lot in the 3 o'clock window. But let's talk about the Titans. I know you know them very well, and that's on Monday night. I've seen the Titans picked everywhere from 1 to 3. I haven't seen them picked almost by anybody credible as fourth in that division. Where do you think they land, and can Tannehill do it again?
Well, I think they can. I mean, you look at a team, especially in a kind of an odd COVID-type football season, I think teams that have a lot of continuity and players coming back are going to have an advantage, at least early. And I think, teams that have, an ability to control the line of scrimmage, especially offensively, which the Titans do, not only with their offensive line, but running the ball with Derrick Henry. So I think the Titans pretty much come in with every advantage that you could ask for in a season where we didn't have any preseason games. The difficult part is living up to not only what you did last year, but the expectations that are out there. It's one thing to not really be counted on, and come up. It's another thing to have those expectations on your shoulder and live up to it. It's not easy to do in the NFL. We see a lot of teams go from good to bad, bad to good, pretty quickly. But I think this Titans team is built to do it. The big thing for them is going to be if Ryan Tannehill stays, healthy, all through the season. And if he doesn't, you look at the massive drop off at the quarterback position from Tannehill to Logan Woodside, who has never really played. That would be a massive difference for that Titans team. But I think that they should come out Monday night against Denver and look good, especially with no Von Miller for the Broncos. I think it's a game that the Titans should win by 3, 6, 7-ish points. They're just a much better team than Denver. But we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of other good teams in the AFC, but I think that they can compete for this division. I mean, if they go out there and own it and play like we think they should, they can win the AFC South for sure.
Alan, with like you said, the expectations being a lot higher this year, coming off of that trip to the AFC Championship, does the signing of Jadeveon Clowney, in a lot of fans' minds say, all right, we were going to be a 10-win team. Now we're at 11-12. Do you really think that fans are thinking that he's going to make that big of an impact to change the game?
Is he a plus 2 wins guy?
Well, I think fans do. Right now, I'll say this. Sportstime, CBS Sports here, we simulated it. Jadeveon Clowney added about a half a game higher in wins for the Titans this season, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in simulations it is. So he does make a difference, and especially after they traded Jarrell Casey to the Denver Broncos, they really had to add someone to that defensive line. So I think Jadeveon Clowney does make a big addition, for them, and he can truly open up that defense. He's not going to have a ton of sacks because that's really what everybody's going to look at, for him. But he's, oddly enough, he's not a massive sack guy, but what he does is just creates mismatches for the offensive line, and they really don't know what to do with him. So a guy, like Jeffrey Simmons, who shined last year towards the end of the year in his rookie season, could show out, and they've got some other defenders at the linebacker position and some studs, obviously, in the secondary as well. Davion Clowney might not have all his stats, but he can make a massive difference. And to compare it, it could be if a lot of defenses focus on Derrick Henry, he might not have as many carries as he did last year and as many yards. But that probably means that guys like A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith are having monster seasons in the air. So you got to do your job either way, if that makes sense.
Alan Bell, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're going to enjoy the weekend. Are you going to throw out one of those classic Alan Bell 8-leg parlays that might even involve the U.S. Open, an NBA game, maybe a horse race in Great Britain, one of your classics, eight-leggers with a lot of things in it?
It's coming back this weekend. I'm excited for it. Check on Saturday. We're going to get it going.
Thank you, Alan Bell. We appreciate your time today. And, again, enjoy that weekend. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. Alan Bell with us, and we love talking. You got any 8-leg parlays, Drew? You want to throw out just
No,
for funsies?
I don't have any. I mean, I could probably just say 5 random games, but there wouldn't be any rhyme or reason to it.
You need 3 more after 5 to get to 8. You got to get all 8 of them.
Well, I'll throw out 5
just a little
college
bit pays
games,
a whole
and I'll
lot.
do 3 NFL because I think I hit better in college.
We'll make our picks at 5:30 with our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast with all the games coming up this weekend with a little busier schedule than last weekend and building until the SEC is playing in 2 weeks from now. SEC should be playing next weekend, in my opinion.
Well, my opinion was a lot stronger 2 hours ago before the numbers have come out for the University of Memphis, but I think that everybody probably should have gotten it started about the same time. Realistically, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that we were ready to play here in Memphis, Tennessee last Saturday, but in Knoxville they weren't. So we probably all should have started around the normal time, maybe this week, but late September, probably a little far, especially because you're not even finishing your 10-game regular season till December. But it is what it is. I'll take it whenever I can get it.
Yeah, and the Tiger story of now suspending football operations, we don't know how long that will be, and I just wonder, I'm asking very speculatively, how many days is too many? I mean, can they suspend until Tuesday and resume Wednesday and play next Friday? Is it suspend until is Monday, Tuesday's got to be it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think we have to know that they're on Monday, like, hey, we're going back to practice tomorrow. Everybody's cleared quarantine. We're all good. If it drags out till Wednesday, that is the first time that they're good. I don't know if you can, regardless of how many Zoom stuff you have and regardless of whether guys are doing stuff on their own in their own backyards and in their own homes, it's just not enough time to prep. Basically,
for
because you only got 2 days in this week.
Yeah, I mean, can you put a game plan in over Zoom? Can you work on what you're going to see from Houston in any fashion, offense, defense, or special teams over 2 days? They won't do much the day before the game, no matter when the game would be played. This would have been the good time for the Tigers really to be doing a lot now and slow it down before next weekend or next Friday night against Houston, so that game very much in doubt now. And a lot of Tiger football players on Twitter with the pushback of there was no party bus. You need to be checking Arkansas State. And now, as I mentioned earlier, how much trepidation, how much concern will the officials administratively and the players at Kansas State have? Of, did these guys infect Memphis?
It's worth definitely thinking about and asking the questions. Now, we obviously don't have any reported numbers out of Arkansas State, but you don't think that there's 20 different guys that got COVID, and the team that they just played a 4-hour football game against, it didn't at least have one. I mean, there's at least one in that bunch. Now, if Arkansas State is isolated, gotten it all under control, have done the contact tracing, have realized that the chances of him infecting somebody else is down to minimal and manageable, then I'm sure they're in communications with K-State and giving that type of report. If not, then I'd be a little worried.
However you're watching and following football this weekend, probably not going, but you can kind of bring the tailgate scene. You can bring it to your house, and you can do it through the Germantown or Collierville Commissary. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com in Collierville and Germantown. And in Collierville, the great party areas to enjoy it outside with plenty of distancing. You can watch the games tomorrow night from there, Sunday afternoon with the NFL. You can do it there. Just like if you're tailgating, take the tailgate to the Collierville Commissary. That's at Houston Levy and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, Memphis-style barbecue, slow Memphis-style barbecue, and the originator. Unequivocally the originator of barbecue nachos in the world. It started at the Germantown Commissary. You start your barbecue feast with some of those great nachos, or the cheese plate, or the tamales, the smoked chicken wings. They're just terrific. Then dig into the ribs of the barbecue shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big sandwich, or you can get it on the plate. It comes with everything. Beans, slaw, deviled eggs, bread as well. You can order it by the pound or the 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack at the Collierville Commissary at Houston Levy and Poplar, or the original in Germantown. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com. And the desserts. The banana pudding is fantastic, and it's the best lemon icebox pie I've ever had anywhere. Walker Taylor, he's done a terrific job at both places in fighting through this pandemic for you and for his employees, and you will love your weekend of having your tailgate from the Germantown or Collierville Commissary. Either place, they've done it the right way, and it is not too early. It is not too early never too early to get on the list for the 36-hour bird come holiday time, particularly at Thanksgiving, and then with the December holidays at Christmas time, the 36-hour bird, all at the Germantown Commissary. Again, 901-754-5540 or online at commissarybarbecue.com. We talk high school football next with Glenn Rogers.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
You're scrambling around. You need a haircut. Where you gonna go? I got a place that has 15 locations. I've got a place where details matter. I've got a place that can be invigorating and relaxing at the same time. You know what it is. It's Supercuts. Every haircut ends with the signature hot towel finish. Every haircut matters. When you're getting ready, you go into Supercuts. The stylist will pay attention to every detail, so you get the haircut you want. And, of course, you're going to finish with that signature hot towel. You walk out clean, sharp, and not just ready, but super ready. And you might want to ask that hairstylist about what the tea tree experience is. One part invigorating, one part relaxing. The tea tree experience is something you need to try. 15 locations. I mentioned that, didn't I? All you've got to do is go to supercuts.com. You'll find the one nearest to you. Get super ready at Supercuts.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
I want to invite you to come by the Spirit Shop. You know, that little log cabin on Poplar, your liquor and wine oasis. The Spirit Shop has been providing sports fans their beverage needs since way back in 1969. So come in now and get ready for the big game. Whether your favorite team wins or loses, the Spirit Shop will help you celebrate or ease that pain away. The Spirit Shop is open every day, and they're located perfectly at 4848 Poplar. That's the corner of Poplar and St. Nick.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave will be with us at 5:30 for our Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, and he'll stay with us for Taco Bell Crunch Time to round it out into the weekend, and we look forward to that. Dave, out there 2-0 last night on Thursday night. Drew, we had the bagel, 0-2.
I mean, he gets lucky every now and then.
He's off to a good start, and you can get almost too far behind unless you can really separate yourself with your college and pro locks and shocks, and we will have those at 5:30 when we do our Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. But at 4:30 on Fridays during football season, high school football season, we talk with Coach Glenn Rogers, one of the great Tigers of all time, one of the great men of all time. Where are you, Glenn Rogers? Sounds like you're at a game.
I'm up here at Big Bill's Barbecue right here on Quince and Kirby, man. I was enjoying a little meal.
That's a good spot to be, Glenn Rogers. You were part of a classic last Friday night on the defeated end for MUS against Christian Brothers, but you played against one that we'll be talking about as one of the all-timers in Memphis high school football history. Dallin Hayden put on a show, didn't he?
Yes, he did, and good afternoon to all the listeners. It was a fun night. Always fun to play against your arch rival, but I tell you, my butt's still sore from that whooping we got. Dallin Hayden was amazing. I thought Coach McDaniel and his staff did an outstanding job of sticking with their game plan, just running him and getting behind that offensive line. And we got gassed in the second half. We couldn't put any points on the board to try to get them to change game plans, and they did an outstanding job of sticking with the game plan, and Dallin Hayden and the offensive line got going on us.
Glenn, you'll love this story, and you know the feeling. When you get it domino and you get it rocking and rolling, just keep running the ball. Jimmy Sexton, when he was in college and was a student manager at Tennessee, he had on a headset one day, and he was listening to the offensive coaches. And I think it was Doug Matthews was the offensive coordinator. But anyway, Tennessee's playing in Jackson against Ole Miss, and they get the ball to start a drive and run it 3 times, get about 12 yards, get a first down. And then he said about 7 plays in a row, Coach Majors through the headset would tell Doug Matthews, run it again, same play, run it again, same play. When you got it going like they had it with Hayden, keep running it.
Yes, sir. Any smart coach, when you got it, I tell people all the time, I'm a defensive guy, stats. But I tell people all the time, the hardest thing to stop in a football game when you're playing football is the run game. Because as a defensive guy, you got to fight off a block, and then you got to go try to make a tackle against if you got a good quality running back. That's
you got to win 2 fights.
That's the toughest thing to do for a defensive guy. Because if you got a team that's throwing the ball a bunch, it's easy to line up and tee off or blitz if you got a great pass rusher. It's easy. It's more easier to stop a pass than it is to stop a running play. So, when you get the running game going, it's a fun thing to watch. And as a defensive guy, when the running game is going, it's a tough thing to handle because everything's downhill and it's just a dogfight when you got somebody running the ball.
How did your club handle defeat and now not playing tonight? I mean, it's that kind of year. What's the condition of the Owls right now?
Well, I think the move was kind of somber these last couple of days, but Wednesday picked up a little bit, and yesterday at practice it picked up some more, and I think we're over the hangover now because it was a tough loss. Anytime you lose to your rival, it's tough. Tough on the coaching staff, the parents, the kids. It's tough on everybody, your alums, and so. But I think this week off, we did have a chance to redeem ourselves, so the loss still stings a little bit longer, but I think we're in a better space now as a team and as a staff.
Glenn, with the very shortened preseason workouts that y'all are able to do, how long do you think that y'all are going to really need to be 100% to be able to implement everything y'all want to do? Is it going to be by week 2? Is it going to be game 4 or 5?
Yeah, I think, you said something really crucial. Not having preseason scrimmages, not having, 2 scrimmages under our belt, and then our first 2 regular season games got canceled. That's tough to line up and play a quality opponent like Christian Brothers being your first game. And so, I think, we worked out some kinks this week. It's really been good. And we had an opponent this week to kind of, see where we were. We made a couple of changes. But I think, it's going to take maybe a week or 2. We go to Nashville and play Montgomery Bell next week, which is a very, very tough team. Our only 2 losses last year was to Montgomery Bell in the regular season. And in the semifinals, they got a quarterback that's a sophomore. A lot of offers. His dad, last name is Reed. His dad is the head coach at Tennessee State. And so they've got Briarcrest tonight. I'm going to really be paying close attention to that ball game because it doesn't get any easier for us. Our schedule it's going to get tougher and tougher, and teams are going to implement what Christian does here. They're going to try to run the ball at us and see can we stop it.
I would imagine you will find a place to watch and stream that game tonight with Briarcrest at Montgomery Bell Academy, and probably talk to some of your buddies at Briarcrest after they've seen them firsthand. That's a good one. That is in Nashville. Best game in the area tonight. Bartlett at Christian Brothers, real good. Houston at ECS. What do you think Bartlett's got to do against Christian Brothers just to try to slow down young Mr. Hayden?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Bartlett better have some guys that's ready to tackle. And they better have some defensive linemen. They better be able to send some guys up front on the defensive end in droves to slow that running game down. But more importantly, Bartlett's got to put points on the board. To me, to neutralize the running game, you got to keep the ball on your offense, run the ball, run some clock, and then put points on the board to keep that offense off the field. And those going to be the keys to the game tonight. Last week we missed 2 field goals. That hurt us. And so the kicking game is always going to be important in any ball game. And those are some of the things that Bartlett has to do to slow down Christian Brothers' offense. Because right now, Dallin Hayden, that offensive line, and Coach McDaniel are feeling good. And they got reason to be. They're 3-0. They run the ball with some confidence, and they playing good, tough defense.
Glenn, another team in your district will be playing tonight. St. Benedict looking for their first win at home against FACS. Do you think they pick up the first W of the year?
Yeah, I think they will. St. Benedict with the D lineman that moved in from IMG. I think they'll pick up a win tonight. St. Benedict's got a good team. They got a lot of good skilled guys. They added some beef up front this year. They lost a tough one last week to Mumford. I think they'll rebound tonight and get that win tonight. And then, like you said earlier, that Houston ECS game, that's going to be a good game to watch, I think. Jalen Greenwood for ECS, to me, is one of the top running backs in the state. He's elusive. He's got breakaway speed. He's got quickness. And then, he's got the big guy up front blocking for him. That's going to be an exciting ball game to watch, too, tonight.
Glenn, I'm glad for the ones that are getting to play, and I'm just crushed for the ones that are not. What are you hearing and talking to your colleagues out at other schools that are still not in football mode? What's the time frame look like for them?
Well, yeah, I think they're supposed to hear something at least by early next week, whether the superintendent going to allow them to play or not. But I feel bad for the coaches and more so for the kids, especially the seniors, Brett. Because this is their final year, and
it's terrible.
They don't have next year. And I
this
think
is it.
To me, sports. This stat. Y'all know this. Sports is a way out for a lot of these kids, and meaning when I say a way out, meaning that sports can get you away from a lot of negative things that's going on, throughout this city and throughout your neighborhoods. And sports is a way out. You got guys at practice. You got guys at games on Friday night being around their teammates and coaches. And I just hate it for these guys not to be around a great, safe environment with their coaches and other teammates.
Glenn, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can this be done safely, and should they be playing?
I think so. We've done a good job. Chris, teams are playing. You haven't really heard a bunch of COVID cases. We had 3 cases. We tested over 240 of us. We only had 3 positive cases. And so it can be done. When you see the college games and now the NFL games last night, it can be done in a safe way. Everybody just got to be on board. The kids have got to be on board. The parents have got to be on board along with the coaches and administrators at the school. You got to follow health department guidelines, and it can be done, Stat. I think it can be done. Well, I know it can be done because we're doing it now, so it can be done.
Glenn, speaking of teams that have had COVID, I think it's either tonight or next week. Collierville is going to get their restart. How much of the 2-week off do you think is going to affect them?
Well, anytime you're off like that and you got kids in quarantine, you don't have a chance to get your timing down, whether it's, guys up front on the offensive line and quarterbacks, backs, and receivers. So it's just a matter of who all was in quarantine. And defensive guys, they got to be able to play together, get the calls, get the right checks. And so it's a matter of who's been in quarantine. And if they had a bunch of key guys in quarantine and guys that couldn't come to practice, it's going to be tough to get a rhythm back after being 2 weeks off without guys being around and at the school and going through making adjustments and things like that, getting prepared for the next game. So those 2 weeks off, according to who was all in quarantine, it'll be tough getting things back in rhythm.
One more interesting matchup tonight. Lewisburg, they play at Arlington. I saw Arlington on the opening night, week 0, Friday night, August 21st. Very impressive team, very impressive coaching staff, very impressive stadium and facilities. Lewisburg at Arlington.
Yeah, and I think Arlington will get the win tonight. Arlington, a team that's coming back into the fold as far as being playoff contenders, and they got a new staff. I think this is second or third year of the staff being together, and you can see the confidence that's growing in that ball club. They jumped out on ECS at week 0, had that game. They had a double-digit lead, and ECS came storming back the second half, but They can show that they can put points on the board and capable of playing good, tough defense. And I expect Arlington to get a win tonight. And Stats, we're in the process of trying to get a game with Arlington, and we got 2 opening dates that we're trying to fill, and Arlington is one of them. And so hopefully we can get that done because we need some quality opponents to play.
Glenn, we enjoy having you every Friday, and we hope to have a little more full schedule as we keep going. But we love the football talk with you every Friday. Have a great weekend. I know you'll be on some scout tonight, always busy. And next Friday we'll talk about your matchup. You'll be on the road next Friday, but we'll still catch up with you, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be on the road to Nashville, and good luck to all the coaches and teams that are playing tonight. Be safe, and go Tigers, go, baby.
You got it. Coach Glenn Rogers
Thanks,
with
Glenn.
us. Thank you. Every Friday, Glenn joins us to talk high school football. We got a text at 67129 at the First Bank text line, and I understand the sentiment. Here's the text. I don't agree. I'm going to read it verbatim. I don't agree with the UM not releasing the numbers. I understand and totally agree with not releasing names due to privacy, but you need to release numbers. As an alum and staunch UM supporter, I'm a little offended finding out about this from a source in Houston instead of my home school. All right, I'm going to kind of work backwards on that. I'm going to defend the University of Memphis on this, and I'm going to defend the local media on this. But my suspicion about this is they were trying to keep a lid on it for as long as they could to find out exactly the story angle, the right number, maybe a little more clarification on the party bus, air quotes here, exactly where it may have emanated from. But they had to give a heads up to Houston at the administration level instead of at the conference level, maybe even. And then in the Houston area, then it leaked. I'm going to defend Memphis from that. On the numbers and not the names, Drew, I think the texture's right.
You think they should release names?
No.
You should release the exact numbers instead of just saying 20 plus?
Not names, but numbers, yeah. The exact number.
Yeah, it would be nice to know the exact number, but I mean, does it really matter when you get 20 plus? That's a big number. It's not like my mind's going to be more blown if it comes out and there's exactly 24 cases. When they talk about 20 plus having COVID-19,
well, 20 plus could, I'm
20
going to be extreme, but 20 plus could be 50.
It could be, but
and it could be 21.
But I know for a fact that that's not it. Now, obviously, I might know people that most people don't. I like I told you during the break.
You had a pretty good handle on the story.
I did. I knew about all this late last night. From what I heard, it was a house party and not a party bus. But who knows? Maybe they could have taken the party bus to the party house.
Pre-med, pre-law.
Exactly. I mean, whether you're partying a bus or you're partying in a house, you're still in close contact with each other, and there's really no place to way to separate. So, but I mean, I wasn't going to just ultimately tweet it out and run with it because for one,
you had to have more.
I had to have more, and I had to fact check it and collaborate it and get somebody else to tell me the exact same thing, and plus. You know, I don't really see myself in the news breaking business. You know, I'm not in that type of journalism that I see myself in, and I didn't really want to take it away from the University of Memphis and maybe create panic for all those hardworking media relations people over at the U of M. I didn't want to send Tammy into a panic.
And now they're trying to and I think that was probably the reluctance. They were trying to catch up and batten down everything, and the administrative or to the conference or to Houston heads up, and then someone there talked and it got out, and it's going to get out. I think they were prepared with a formal release of the information, but we now know that football activities have been suspended at the University of Memphis. That could be resumed tomorrow afternoon, Sunday afternoon, and for sure by Monday, and we still could play next week. But it is looking doubtful right now for next week, but things can change. In fact, things will change, and they'll change when we come back from the break. You are listening to Sports Time.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process. You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between, in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Have you thought about the holidays yet? Our friends at Window Genie not only clean windows, gutters, and concrete, they also hang holiday lights. Window Genie has a Christmas light rental program that includes custom design, installation, maintenance, takedown, and storage for your home or office. The best part, they're offering 15% off if you book by November 1st. Spend more time with friends and family this year and less time on the ladder. Call today for a free estimate, 901-424-4100. Window Genie, 901-424-4100.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to prilosecotc.com. You'll get $3 off to get you started, plus 14 days of tips, tricks, and reminders. Just 2 weeks, zero heartburn. Go to PrilosecOTC.com and sign up today. Zero heartburn is possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
I'm John Conway with Conway Services. When was the last time you had your air conditioning system tuned up? What about your heating system safety check? Good news, you can get both at the same time this month. Call Conway Services for our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your air conditioning system for only $69. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. And we'll include a heating system safety check at no charge. That's right, Conway Services 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up for only $69, and we'll include a heating system safety check at no charge, making sure your heating system is ready for this winter. If that's not enough, we'll include a carbon monoxide test, all for only $69. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And call this week, and we'll perform your super tune-up for only $57 with a free heating system safety check.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Wilson and Brett Norsworthy.
Some of the headlines from legitimate sports sources, you often could think, is this from something satirical? Is this from The Onion? This headline breaking now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers general manager saying that Tom Brady's arm is stronger than last year. He's not going to come out and say it's weaker. He's got nothing left. We know he's washed up. Father Time's already caught him, and he has nothing there.
We just wasted a lot of money trying to bring him in and bring in all these other stuff. He's got nothing. Of course that's what he's going to say.
Yeah, it's always, beautiful sunsets and daffodils on season's eve. We'll see what Tom Brady has as he's getting up there at 43 years of age and trying to play in the NFL. That's going to be fun Sunday afternoon to keep up with that game. Tonight in the NBA, we know one series will end and the other one could end at 5:30 Central Time in Denver against the Clippers, with the Clippers with the 3-1 lead, and then at 8 o'clock on TNT, Game 7, two of the most magical words in all of sport, Game 7, and it will be decided if Toronto has a chance to just simply repeat as Eastern Conference champions, or will Boston move on in those games. And the hockey, very important for you, Drew, this weekend. You keeping up with it?
Not as well as I would like to.
Football's kind of taking over.
Yeah, football, the bubble. Orioles actually playing meaningful games in September, which right now they're down 5-0 in the bottom of the sixth of the first game of the doubleheader. So that might be only one meaningful game in September, but I haven't really been paying much attention to the ice.
I've warmed up to to baseball. At first, I just wanted something back. Just give us sports. Just somehow, some way, let's try to survive and have some sports. I wasn't wild about this being a 3/8 year, 60 games out of 162, but I'm warming up to it. Dave makes a really good point. Once we get into postseason, that's really square then. I mean, it's going to take 2 out of 3 in that first set, 3 out of 5 in divisional, 4 out of 7 LCS and World Series. That's kind of what we do most years.
Yeah, well, other than the expanded playoffs,
2 out of 3.
The 2 out of 3, which we've already gone into discussion at length about it. But you're right. As soon as we do get into playoffs, it's probably going to be the teams that we thought were going to be there if they were playing 162.
Yeah, and you look at the standings entering today's play, and your Orioles would not be in. The top of the American League right now would be Oakland. They would have the 1 seed, Tampa Bay 2, the Southsiders 3, Minnesota 4, Blue Jays, the Buffalo Blue Jays 5, Houston Astros 6, Cleveland 7, and the Pinstripers 8, hanging on 1 game up in the all-important loss column over your Orioles. So that would be Oakland hosting all 3 if they needed 3 games in that first round against the Yankees. Networks didn't really have that involved. They weren't counting on that in the National League, rather. Los Angeles, the 1 seed, against the Giants as the 8th seed. That should be decent TV. That would be good TV and a great rivalry. The 2 would be Atlanta against the 7, the Marlins. The 3 would be the Cubs against the 6-seeded St. Louis Cardinals in the first round of the playoffs. All of those games would be at Wrigley Field. And the 4 versus the 5, the Padres, my wacky pick, my version of the Detroit Lions in baseball when y'all laughed and made fun of me.
You're right. Maybe I shouldn't be laughing at you because you did kind of speak the Padres into existence. I knew they were going to be good, but boy, did I did not know they were going to be this good.
There.
Yeah, but I didn't know they were going to be this good.
And the sprint was kind of built for them. I think today's Washington Nationals record is exactly what their record was after 42 games at this point last year. We remember they really scuffled through about the first 50, 55 games and then got hot as the year wore on. They don't have time to do that this year because there's only 2 weekends left after this weekend in Major League Baseball. No time left for our second hour. That'll wrap it up, but we'll come back with our third and final hour and take you until 6 o'clock. We will wrap it up with Taco Bell Crunch Time about 5:50. Our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast at 5:30 when we pick a lot of the games. But coming up next, talking NBA and the Orlando Bubble from Chicago, Memphian Andy Schiffman on the NBA.
It is time for the final clearance sale at James Davis Men's Store in the Laurelwood Shopping Center. Listen to this, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. You heard me, James Davis, 70 to 80% off on all spring and summer merchandise. Unreal selection of sports coats and sports shirts for your next Zoom call. Limited selection of shorts and knits, but there are some. If you get there, you'll get 70 to 80% off. Here's some of the brands you can save on during this incredible sale. Peter Millar, Sandstrom, Mac 5 Pocket. I'm talking 70 to 80% off while it lasts. The only place in Memphis that you can find the Stant custom shirt and pants system. Only at James Davis, this exclusive store for this unique custom fitting apparel where shirts start as low as $98, pants at $168. Go see it to believe it. The clearance sale at James Davis.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Indeed knows a lot of small businesses took a hit recently and are busy trying to figure out plans for the future. So if you're hiring, it means finding the right people is more critical than ever before. Indeed will help you find the quality candidates you need while only paying for what you need. Claim your $75 credit to get more quality candidates fast when you post your first job at Indeed.com/high-impact. That's Indeed.com/high-impact. Terms and conditions apply.
Napa know-how.
Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can pick up curbside at your local store in just 30 minutes. Or get your order delivered direct to your door with free one-day shipping on over 160,000 quality parts when you spend $35 or more. Quality parts delivered quickly and safely. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating stores, standard ground shipping and exclusions apply.
Great news, sports fans. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse is now open for dine-in service. Make a reservation and enjoy a mouth-watering steak dinner. Or, if you prefer, take it curbside. In addition to their fantastic steaks, the Butcher Shop Steakhouse has a variety of entrees, including Canadian lobster tail, crab stuffed shrimp, pan-seared red snapper, and fresh ground steak burger with portobello mushroom sauce. Planning to cook out? The Butcher Shop Steakhouse offers a great selection of fresh Angus beef, hand-cut steaks and burgers, lamb chops, Atlantic salmon, and more. Make your reservation for dine-in or pre-order for curbside pickup. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse. Dine-in, curbside, and delivery. Plus, enjoy the sizzle of top-quality Butcher Shop steaks on your own grill. Call us at 757-4244 and visit our website, thebutchershop.com, for menus and more. The Butcher Shop Steakhouse, Walnut Grove and Germantown Parkway.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Final hour on this very, very busy week, heading into the weekend with so many things from sports going on. Had the NFL start last night, NBA playoffs getting ready to tip at the bottom of this hour, and we'll talk a lot of NBA with Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports. He is on Twitter at Priority Basketball. He's Executive VP of Basketball Representation at Priority Sports and Entertainment, based in Chicago, but native Memphian and proud grad of IU, the Hoosiers at Bloomington. We visit with Andy after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour. And that's our friends at 5704 Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. Visit their website, DeSotoAutoSales.com, and check out all the happy referrals, the very pleased customers, and look at all those beautiful cars at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They're down on Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to Goodman Road for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales, where they're proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. All the cars test-driven, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you at DeSoto Auto Sales. No shortcuts taken. You walk in, you're treated like family, down-home environment, laid back, no high-pressure sales, courteous employees, and they care about your time and want you to have the ultimate car experience. You walk in within 45 minutes, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in 45 minutes, less than an hour. In time to do it over your lunch hour, like right now, right after work. They know we're living in a world today that time matters, and they keep it simple at DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road, 662-890-7184, DeSotoAutoSales.com. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. The NBA action gets started in about 30 minutes. Andy, I said, we know one series will end tonight. Both could. Good afternoon, Andy.
Hey, thanks for having me on. You're right. This Nuggets-Clippers will be interesting. I think the Nuggets have a little bit of an uphill battle to climb to try and get another win tonight and really try to even the series, another game after that. But, man, you talk about a great Game 7 between Toronto and Boston, and it's just been a great series from start to finish. So I cannot wait to watch that one tonight at 8 o'clock.
We have talked about the Kyle Lowry. It's been their entire career, the Kyle Lowry comparisons to Mike Conley. I wouldn't trade a thing with the Memphis experience that we had and the affinity that we enjoyed with the core four and with Mike Conley. But I think it is verified now. Certainly a more accomplished career has been Kyle Lowry, and a better player in Kyle Lowry.
Well, and he's shown the impact of winning. You know, I'm lucky enough to work with Priority Sports, who represents Kyle Lowry. It just so happens to bring him up, but what he's been doing, not only this year's playoffs, Brett, but every year, is unprecedented. It's remarkable, and I think he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA. Certainly one of their most underrated guards. When you talk about Kyrie Irving, you talk about James Harden, Chris Paul, Steph Curry, you have to include Kyle in that conversation, specifically not only with his productivity, but look at what he's doing at the age he's at now, upper 30, closer to his mid-30s, let's say. He's put this team on his back. They were not expected to be here this year after losing Kawhi, and look at where he has them now in a Game 7 against Boston to try and reach the Eastern Conference Finals, especially that last game he had the other night, 33 points, I think he hit like 6 threes. but it's every single night, just doing all the little things he needs to do to win, to help his team win. And he's not only a leader, but he's just a great teammate even when he's off the court.
Andy, I made the case yesterday without the knowledge that y'all represented him, so I sure wasn't patronizing you.
I appreciate that.
And I'm not going to do you like that. Or your organization that you represent, your business. But I made the case yesterday. Again, a lot of qualifiers here, a couple of ifs and some maybes and all that good stuff. But if go on and win against the Celtics, repeat as Eastern Conference champions, and repeat as NBA champions, and then fill out the back of that basketball card a little more. Kyle Lowry goes from Hall of Good to Hall of Fame.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I think a lot of people's minds, he's already held in that regard. But I think last week we all spoke about, I think Dave asked the question, if the Heat make it to just the finals, let's say, don't even win, is that Eric Spoelstra's greatest achievement considering where they were projected to be this season? I think you can say, hands down, the same for the Toronto Raptors staff and specifically for Kyle Lowry, given that they did lose Kawhi. They've added some young players, and now you're talking about climbing up in the East, making it to the finals, winning a championship over what could be a Lakers or a Clippers team that is stacked with some of the absolute best talent in the game today. That's nothing short of remarkable, and honestly, it's a bit shocking. I think absolutely he's thought of as a Hall of Famer if that happens.
Hey, Andy, I'm going to play every little kid's favorite game, what if, and a hypothetical question here for you.
Sure.
Let's go back 2 years. You know, obviously, I think it was the right move to make that trade for Kawhi Leonard and trading away DeMar DeRozan. But let's say that never happened, and they probably don't win the NBA championship last year. Do you think that they would still be in this position in a Game 7 if they had that kind of original team before they traded away Valanciunas and everything, that they'd still be in this good of a position?
You're saying with Valanciunas, with Kawhi?
Yeah, without
DeRozan,
Kawhi, with DeRozan, yeah.
Well, I think if everybody's healthy, I do think so. I think if you look, everything else being equal, right? The Bucks are who the Bucks are. The Celtics are who the Celtics are. You know, our guy Gordon Hayward goes down with the injury earlier in the playoffs. That all remains equal. Brooklyn doesn't have Kyrie or Kevin Durant to help them this year in the first round. I do think so. I think not only that I wouldn't even call it a supporting cast, but those extra pieces in Valanciunas and in Kawhi just make Toronto that much more dangerous. But it's such a tough question to answer because you don't know, is this team healthy? How do they mesh well together? Playing again, adding in these younger players. The departure of Kawhi and the change in the lineup and the roster, so to speak, it's really provided an opportunity for players like a Fred VanVleet to step up. And would Pascal Siakam still continue to be playing at his all-star level that he has been if things haven't changed? So I tend to think so, yes, but you also have to account for everything else in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference for that staying the same. But obviously it's a tough question to answer, right? Because that means the Clippers don't get Kawhi and Paul George. So how does that all play into it?
And no surprise at this point in the playoffs, you're usually left with really elite coaches. And you look at those Eastern Conference coaches, Spoelstra, Nurse, and Stevens. That's a trio of pretty stout coaching.
No, absolutely. And I know the Bucks season, by their standards, was a disappointment, losing the way they lost to Miami and just running into a very deep, talented Miami team. And I don't know the reason why Coach Budenholzer just tears up the regular season and they just kind of ran into a wall when they hit Miami. But I think you have to include him, maybe the fourth coach in that group, Brett, but you have to include him in that conversation as well because he is just as good as some of those coaches you mentioned. This year, was it a fluke? I don't know. I firmly believe Giannis is, and for my money, I think he's the most talented player in the NBA. You talk about everything he can do. You take for sure he's not the best shooter. I get for sure, but just talent and what you're looking at, his size and his body type and what he's able to do. For my money, he's just the most talented piece out there in the NBA. and you cannot discount that when you talk about great teams, and it was a disappointing end to their season for sure. I think that has more to do with the lack of depth Milwaukee had, and obviously they lost Giannis for that last game with the injury, but I still think you group them in that conversation.
A lot of people still would swap with the Bucks and with Budenholzer to be able to coach a player like Giannis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and speaking of Giannis, what do you think the main plan for him going forward? I know he's publicly said that he doesn't want to be traded. Do you think that that's a good sign, a great sign for Milwaukee that they're going to get to re-sign him to a Supermax in 2 years?
Well, just to your point, Drew, they're going to offer him a Supermax. They came out publicly and said that. That's no surprise. The Bucks had zero intention of trading Giannis. And I do think that it is definitely positive when your superstar player at this point in time comes out and says, I want to be in Milwaukee, I don't want to be traded, coming off of a disappointing season. And so soon coming off of a disappointing season. So whether or not he stays in Milwaukee or decides to leave because there is just another attractive situation out there and he and his agent say, you know what, I would just rather wait on the extension and maybe get to free agency just so I can kind of get a lay of the land of how other rosters have shaped up to see maybe do I sign with another team because they have that much more of a stronger chance to win a championship, or maybe I don't, or I want to wait and see what the Bucks do with the rest of this roster over the course of this next year, or maybe use the third mechanism and just enter into a sign and trade where the Bucks can get something in return for Giannis in a couple of years. It remains to be seen. I do think right now all signs point to him staying in Milwaukee. But, again, if they have a disappointing year next year, Giannis is healthy, and the Bucks just do not put the pieces around Giannis that he was hoping, I think that conversation for a trade could be revisited. But it's great to have Milwaukee come out right now as soon as the season ends, talk about, look, it's no surprise, you're our franchise player, you're the pillar of this organization, we're doing everything we can to keep you. And so it's very interesting the position they're going to be in this offseason. Granted, it's a unique offseason with everything going on. First off, the NBA has to see what sort of money these teams will have to spend. But the Bucks front office staff, Coach Bud, John Horst, and the staff there, they're building around Giannis. It's not so much how do we get the best players out there. It's how do we get the players out there that make us that much better to complement Giannis. Let's include Giannis in the conversation on draft night, on potential trade ideas, on free agency. I guarantee you they're going to run every decision by Giannis because of how important this decision is to the organization.
Andy, I keep a running list. I'm holding up to the Zoom camera now, the running list of NBA head coaching seniority in their current job. You know, there's like right now, Taylor Jenkins, he is already vaulted to 22nd in seniority in current jobs. He will have at least 8 behind him next year. Number 1 is Greg Popovich with the Spurs. 2, hired December 10th, 1996. Number 2, Eric Spoelstra with Miami, hired April 28th, 2008. Just a few days after that, May 9th, 2008, Rick Carlisle. So Pop, Spoelstra, Carlisle, 1, 2, 3. Terry Stotts, 4. Doc Rivers, 5. Brad Stevens, 6. Steve Kerr, now 7, with the ouster of Brett Brown in Philadelphia. Any more changes this year, and what's the best open job?
Well, first off, Brett, in terms of changes this year, you know, I don't think so. I think at this point, let's say one of Toronto or Boston loses. Obviously, one of them will lose, and their season will be done tonight. They're not making changes at the helm there. I think the same can be said. Actually, you know what? I'm going to swallow my words there. The only possible change that we'll see, which, you know, it's been talked about that he's not going to potentially remain with the team, is Mike D'Antoni with Houston. And obviously, they're still playing. If he goes on a tear and they, you know, can somehow come back from this 3-1 deficit. They're playing the Lakers again tomorrow in Game 5. I would be very surprised if that were to happen. But let's say that does. Maybe that changes his future in Houston. But I think that is a change that could likely happen. But I do believe everywhere else, I think you're going to stand pat with the coaches you've had. I think the changes that have been made are the ones we will see outside of Houston. And in terms of there being an attractive job, obviously we just see Steve Nash get hired by Brooklyn. I think Philadelphia is a very attractive job depending on what they do with their roster. They are a playoff team. However, they underachieved from their standards this year, losing in the first round. I think I wouldn't be shocked if they break up the combination of Embiid and Ben Simmons. They have a lot of talent on that roster. They're going to have a lot of young draft picks. But again, keep in mind, they're also a playoff team. So I think that job is very attractive. I am here in Chicago, so I am partial to that staff, knowing them very well. Chicago's almost in a little bit of a Memphis situation where they're in that rebuilding mode. Now, they're not going to go in free agency and on draft night and trade away the rest of their roster, but they're definitely a young team that's trying to grow this core together of Lauri Markkanen, Zach LaVine, Wendell Carter, Kobe White. You want to see those pieces grow together. And I do think in the next 2 to 3 years, let's call it, I think Chicago's going to be a contender and work their way back into the Eastern Conference playoffs for sure. And again, the last one, I think Indiana's another one. Another similar situation with Philadelphia. They're a playoff team. If you have a healthy Malcolm Brogdon, a healthy Oladipo, and a healthy Miles Turner, Indiana can be very dangerous. And they just did not have that throughout the season this year. So I think that's also another attractive job.
Andy, the other game tonight that we haven't really discussed, and that's just because it's kind of been a little boring, to be honest. I mean, with the Clippers up 3-1 and Jamal Murray not looking like Jamal Murray, what do you think the main thing the Clippers been able to do to really shut him down and keep him at bay?
I just like the way they defended him. I think they've been very active on the perimeter. They've done a really good job of contesting all of his looks from the perimeter. They've tried their best to keep the ball out of his hands. I know there's been comments among other players about trying to get other guys on the team involved other than just focusing on Jokic and Jamal Murray. And I think Jamal exhausted so much energy on the offensive end in that previous series. They do really need help. They need other players to step up off the bench, and especially if the Clippers are taking Jamal Murray out of his game plan, they need to rely on other players, and it's up for Jamal Murray to be a creator and get other players involved and just realize he can't do it all himself. And as we go further into this series, I think that will only continue to wear on him, and tonight could be all she wrote for Denver. They're already down 3-1. The Clippers just looked phenomenal that last game defensively. And of course, look, offensively as well. And you've got two of the game's best players in Kawhi and Paul George. And you just watched even Kawhi. I mean, some of the plays he makes and some of the passes he makes and just defensively how versatile he is, I don't think Denver has an answer to that. And so it's hard to really ride Jokic and Jamal Murray out for the rest of this series and expect that to get the job done when, quite frankly, they have been doing that and they find themselves at a 3-1 deficit. But nonetheless, Denver is an exciting team to watch in the future. You talk about having Gary Harris back for a full year healthy, Will Barton back for a full year healthy. Let's say they keep our guy Mason Plumlee, who's been a great piece for them off the bench, really smart player. And, of course, the maturation of another priority client, Michael Porter Jr., which has been tremendous to get a glimpse of what he could become long-term, especially think about what he's done in the bubble. Now you talk about Michael Porter Jr. 3-4 months from now, if the season starts then, adding 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. It's scary what they could become, and they are a very well-coached team in Mike Malone. So it's definitely disappointing given the season they've had if they lose this series tonight through 4-1, but they have a lot to be excited about, and they're always just kind of slowly making steps, trying to inch closer to a Western Conference Finals berth as early as next year.
They are slowly just chopping wood and getting better and better year over year and providing a lot of hope for their fan base and for their team for the years to come. Andy, I said on Monday, mostly facetiously, but I mentioned just how cruel the virus, the pandemic has been in the macro, first and foremost, to the casualties, to the loss of life, to the illness, to the economic despair, but then to the micro, to sports, it's been cruel. We got to come up with some way, somehow, in a bioverse, in some way to lock down the NBA to have Celtics, Lakers, if that's the NBA Finals, in Boston and in Los Angeles.
Well, we got to try to find that, get that scrimmage going in the off season. Then that's quite a tall task.
Not at
look. The one thing I'll say is this, and to your point, what that would do for the NBA and just nostalgic fans of classic basketball would be amazing and great to watch. It's just like a Red Sox-Yankees series in terms of baseball. I don't think we're that far off from that. If you talk about the Lakers retaining LeBron for a few more years, I don't care how old LeBron is. He's always going to be an elite-level player. It doesn't matter if he's getting older. You look at what he's doing. Throw that argument out the window if you're a contrarian to what I'm saying. But if you talk about the Lakers, as good as they are, with the pieces they have, now with LeBron and AD, Boston keeps getting better and better, and the young talent they have, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, you add in Gordon Hayward, pieces they have and just how well they're coached. It's not far-fetched to think we could get a Boston Lakers finals, if not this year, then in the next couple of years, if everyone remains healthy and they really keep that core of players together.
And it's always pretty magical TV and one of the great rivalries. And we know what both fan bases will be chanting if and when we get back to having it in the arenas of record for both of those teams. Andy, thank you for your time today. Enjoy the ball this weekend. Enjoy the baseball. Stay safe. And I know you got a lot of work between now and the draft, but we love having you with us. The extended run we've had with you, that's been one of the benefits of the virus. We had more time with you, and we have always appreciated. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks for the words, and y'all have a great weekend too.
Thanks, Andy.
You got it. Andy Schiffman talking basketball with us every Friday. Somehow, some way, we got to come up with a biosphere, a dome on Mars somewhere to have. But we got to do it in Boston and Los Angeles. We can't have it in Mars. We got to have Celtics and Lakers played in the respective towns if it gets to that. I don't think it will. I think the Clippers, I picked them in the preseason to win the West. I picked them before these playoffs started. I don't think it will get to that. But if it did, it's going to be tough to watch that just from the bubble at Lake Buena Vista.
Yeah, it'll be different. I don't know if we logistically can figure out a bubble system in LA and Boston. Yeah, it's a little too late. I think we've kind of
too expensive.
Yeah, I think we've kind of committed to this whole Orlando thing that we've been doing for over a month and a half now. But it will feel different. But I think Andy's exactly right. Like, the way Boston has been playing and the way that they are slowly, year after year, getting better, and it's not like they're having roster turnover. Their young guys are just really panning out and actually developing and getting better to where we could see Boston Lakers be the new Warriors, Cavs that we saw in the last decade.
Could we see it even post LeBron?
No, I don't think post LeBron, unless who they really
the Lakers did something in free agency.
They'd have to really bring somebody in free agency, maybe post LeBron. I don't even know who that type of player would be at that point, because I think LeBron's going to play for at least another 5 years.
I don't know if you can count on 5.
He's trying to get to play
36.
with his son. He's trying to play with his son.
Yeah. That would really be stretching it out there if he got to that. But the Lakers, historically, since they moved from Minneapolis to Los Angeles, when they needed to make that blockbuster free agent off-season acquisition, when they had to deal, they got Wilt, they got Kareem, they got Shaq, they got LeBron, they got AD. When they have to do it, they go out and I'm leaving out some very critical role players.
Yeah.
Leaving out a lot, but to go out and get that marquee guy, they're always going to have, in Tinseltown, that big marquee name to keep it very interesting in the Los Angeles sports scene, because it is crowded, it is competitive, but they are the team of Los Angeles, aren't they? Historically, all time.
Yeah, historically of all time. I mean, obviously, football is a bigger.
The Dodgers. Yeah.
Football is a bigger sport, but as far as what it means to that town, I'm sure the Lakers are probably the biggest popular team there in L.A., and you're exactly right. When it comes
the exception in a town that's got a lot of different teams, it's the exception for the NBA team to be the team.
Oh, yeah. Normally it would be the longtime NFL team or baseball team, but, I mean, you just think about it. Dodgers, they didn't even get baseball till the
late 50s.
Late 50s. Football has just gone back and forth for the last 50,
Left town a
60
couple
years.
times.
I mean, they've had times where they didn't even have a team. So like,
with on the lamb.
Yeah, it's pretty hard for a football team that hasn't even been there for that long and has gone back and forth to be number one.
In a town that may have had basketball rights, may have had the basketball claim at one time with the Celtics in Boston, it got eclipsed by the Pats and TB12 and Bill Belichick in that run, and maybe even the Red Sox. The Bruins good, but a lot of great there, but probably was a Celtics town at one time, and it's not that now, but still a lot of Celtics lore there. When we come back, we will have our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. Dave Woloshin will join us. We'll round out this day with Taco Bell Crunch Time. You're listening to Sports Time with Drew and Brett.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Summertime and the living is easy. No more cutting or paying utilities. Literally, you guys, Town Village Audubon Park, nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Time for the Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, and recreational, contact them at fnbt.com or 901-498-5763.
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, they've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Nick Sutton, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams
a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763 or fnbtmemphis.com. That's fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I've had an account and been a friend my entire life.
Dave got started with a great Thursday night last night. He won the college game. He won the pro game. 2 up, 2 down for Dave last night. Defending champion David William Woloshin. Drew and I both with the bagel last night. 0-2, so you're already gaining that separation, baby. Thank you for joining us with your picks. How are you?
I'm fine. I look forward to this, to defend one of my numerous championships.
Oh, you got so many titles. Home just festooned with banners and glory and titles, and you've got another one with this, right?
Well, I'm just curious. I mean, we started yesterday, and if I recall, I'm perfect. I'm Bruce Marshall.
Can't argue with perfection. All right, college game. Notre Dame in the ACC. Minus 20.5 over the Dukies. I'm going to take Notre Dame. Dave, your pick.
I think Notre Dame will win this football game without a question. The David Cutcliffe teams are always prepared. This is a first game. It's a weird first game. Look, we know what happened with the COVID today, so you never know. I think that's too big. I'm going to say the Irish win, but the Dukies cover.
Dave takes the Dukies and David Cutcliffe, and a lot of respect for him. Drew, you break the tie. Who's your pick, the Irish or the Blue Devils?
I'm going to go with what the professional told us about 2 hours ago, and I'm going to go with Notre Dame. Yeah, that's a lot of points, but I'll take it.
So you're taking the professional consultation from one
that,
Bruce
that
Marshall.
Is really
I am.
Interesting. So you're going to just follow whatever Bruce says. You're not going to think for yourself.
Well, I mean, Dave, the man has made a
shot,
good
Drew.
amount of money doing what he does. So
I mean, he
I'll
lives
listen to
out
the
there.
professionals. I'd listen to
All
a
right, our
doctor
next-
what he had to say too. So
Our next game, another one from the ACC. Mike Norvell, his first game at Florida State, 12.5-point favorite over the Ramblin' Wreck, the Yellow Jackets from Georgia Tech. FSU 12.5. I'm going to lay the 12.5. Mike Norvell gets there with the win and gets there with covering the Vegas point spread. Drew?
This game I don't know how well this Florida State team's really going to match, but Georgia Tech just is not a good team whatsoever, I think. So I have zero faith in the Ramblin' Wreck of Georgia Tech. Give me Mike Norvell and the Seminoles minus 12.5.
So what did the professional? What did the professional say, Drew?
He took Florida State too, but doesn't matter.
What does defending champ say? It might be a show sweep. What do you say, Dave?
In Norvell, Wallow trusts. I don't trust Georgia Tech either. So give me Mike.
Show sweep. Everybody likes FSU. That means load up on the Rambling Wreck. College football lock time. And if we should have the same one, we just roll with it. And I think we do in one case. So, Drew, you go first with your college football lock. That must be a favorite, and the shock must be an underdog. But if you win outright with your shock pick, that's an extra point. You would get 2 points instead of one correct one. Your college football lock, Drew.
My lock, I'm going to do this game not just because I think it's going to win, but to show Dave that I do have a brain of my own, because the professional Bruce Marshall told us that to not touch this game, that it was the one game we didn't bring up that he had to make sure he got in. I am going to take Brady McBride and Texas State minus 6.5 over UTSA. So I do have a brain of my own, Wallow.
Texas State minus 6.5 over Texas San Antonio, a futures Tiger opponent if we continue to play ball, and we hope we will. Dave, your college football lock.
Well, I'm not going anywhere near Brady McBride, I can tell you that. I am going to go. And there weren't a lot of choices this week because there's just not that many games. I'm going to go with Louisville. Paul Rogers is so high on this team. He thinks they are about to really gel. And Western Kentucky's a good team, but not good enough to go into Papa John's. It's only 11.5. Give me Louisville.
I promise you, I had Louisville before we started doing this pick. So y'all want me to find something else real quickly?
No.
Or can I?
No,
Okay.
Go with it.
That's fine.
I'm going to stay with UFL.
If Drew is going with the professionals, you're going with me.
I just went against the professionals, Dave.
I'm going.
Bruce
with the
told me
genius.
not to, but I'm going to do it
I'm
anyway.
I'm going with the genius. That's the voice of the Tigers. I'm going to lay the 11.5. I think it's a really good Louisville team that could really gum up the works in the ACC this year, winning 8 or 9 games and knocking a lot of teams out. All right, shock time, and I'll start with mine from the ACC. I love Mac Brown. Not that wild about Phil Longo, but I'm going to take the 20.5 in Syracuse. I'm going to take Dino Babers, the Orange of Syracuse, plus 20.5 over the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Dave?
I'm going to go with what I said earlier in the week. I got a lot of respect for Arkansas State. I know they have to travel. I hope they weren't affected by the party bus. I think they will do a great job of competing with Kansas State. They're not going to win the game, but I think given 12.5, they will cover like they did last week. I'll take the Red Wolves.
I'm going to do you one better than that, Dave. It's now 13.5. You will get Arkansas State plus a baker's dozen cousin and a half. Drew, your college football shock pick must be an underdog.
Well, after what Dave said to me yesterday leaving the show, I'm going to have to agree with him. I just think it's too many points, too good of a team that we saw. I'll take A-State over K-State.
Oh, so you're just taking Dave's picks, huh?
Well, I had it wrote down 5 hours ago.
A-State over K-State, and I hope they can play if it's not impacted. You know, Dave, I know you were joking, but there's a lot of pushback from Tiger players about the accused party bus. To the NFL, we had our first pick last night. Dave with the win, Drew and I with the loss. We had Houston, Dave had Kansas City, and they look great. The first game we pick on Sunday, my Detroit Lions, a 3.5-point favorite over Dave's Chicago Bears. Dave, I don't even need to write this down. Do I know who you're taking, right?
Wrong team favored. Bears easy.
And you know what we haven't had is the ceremonial kickoff to NFL Monday. Drew, have the instrumental ready. We got to have Dave's version of singing "Bear Down Chicago."
I got it.
That's
I'll be ready.
how we start the NFL year. So Monday at 5:30, you have the voice ready, Dave. You got it?
Yeah. If they win, what if they lose? That's not going to happen.
You're going to sing it with sadness.
Get that
It will
thing
be
racked up, buddy.
It'll be very melodic. It'll be "Bear Down." So I'm going to take Detroit. I mean, I win every way you can here. My Bears under 4.5 for the year. My Lions to win the NFC North, and for our Friday football forecast picks, give me Detroit minus 3.5. Drew?
I think the biggest part about this line is that hook, because I don't really think either one of these teams are very good. I think it's probably going to be a 3-point game, but I guess I'll take the Lions. That's about as much confidence that's in my voice right now that I have.
Wow. It's a hook league. It's a 3-point league. It's a hook league. Another hook. Baltimore, 8.5 over Cleveland. Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet. Love Baltimore. I'm going against the expert. Give me Cleveland plus the 8.5. Dave.
Well, we know for sure where Drew's going on this. 1, the pro. 2, his heart. But I got to agree with Bruce, and I got to agree with his heart. 8.5's not that much. Cleveland didn't show me anything last year. I got to really see them. And I believe in Lamar Jackson. I believe in Mr. Harbaugh. Give me Baltimore.
So, Drew, I know who you're taking, right? Easiest pick of the year.
Actually, it's not that easy. I mean, the Ravens only lost 3 games last year, and one of them was an early season game against
Cleveland, baby. Take them.
But I'm not going to do it. 8.5, I think, is still just small enough of a line to get over. So give me the flock. Let's go be more.
2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in that game, Baker Mayfield versus Lamar Jackson. NFL lock time, Dave.
Oh, NFL lock time. Well, who's the team that I always show great respect for? The one that you are always poo-pooing, Mr. Norsworthy. That's the Buffalo Bills. The Jets only get 6.5. I'm not worried. Give me Buffalo.
Buffalo laying the 6.5 at home against the Jets. I take the Saints minus 3.5 with Drew Brees over TB12's first game as a Buccaneer. Saints minus 3.5 over Tampa Bay. Drew, your NFL lock.
NFL lock that I'm taking this week, give me Philly minus 5.5 over the Washington football team.
Philly minus 5.5. So shock time. My shock, Arizona with a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback plus 7.5 over a quarterback named Jimmy Garoppolo, but he'll look like more like Rex Grossman this year. Arizona plus 7.5 over San Francisco. Dave?
My shock, I get 3.5 against everybody's darling. Remember, that's the way the Rams were a couple of years ago. I don't think they're dead yet. Dallas still has to show me something. I'll get 3.5 and take the Rams.
Drew, your NFL shot.
I'm going to go with a team that a lot of people don't think that they really have that big of a prayer this year, especially in that very stacked NFC South. But give me the Carolina Panthers plus 3.5 at the Las Vegas Raiders.
Carolina plus 3. Ooh, that is a double wower. Las Vegas Raiders, a lot going on there. Carolina plus the 3.5 over the Vegas Raiders. We will pick the 2 Monday night football games. Monday at 5:30, Pittsburgh and the Giants, and Denver and Tennessee. We will have Dave saying bear down Chicago Monday at 5:30, and we'll also do our big 4 quarterbacks, just quarterbacks, for Pittsburgh, New York, Denver, and Tennessee. We do all of that Monday at 5:30. But that's been our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. For real estate, commercial, ag, hunting, and recreational, contact them at fnbt.com, fnbt.com, or call them at 901-498-5763. Dave, I know you want to weigh in on the Tiger news.
I do. And I am not totally sold on what has occurred either. I don't really know. And the university, as far as I know, and as late as I last checked about maybe 40 minutes ago, they have not put out a statement yet regarding this. And I've put in several calls to find out exactly what was happening. We knew all year there was going to be bumps in the road. We've been saying it all along. This could have just very well happened on a bus on the way home from the game. I know the word party is in there. I've not seen conclusive evidence. And if there was a little get-together by teammates to celebrate, these guys are kids. They've been working their tail off since June in all of the conditioning and everything they had to do without a guarantee of a season. And to finally win and have a little pressure and steam off, even if they were just amongst themselves on a bus and had a beer, if that was the case, I'm okay with all that. They are college students, for goodness sake. I don't know if they brought other people in that got them COVID, then that is a different story. But I don't want to jump to conclusions. I was a little flippant. I was trying to be humorous when I was talking about Arkansas State. But the bottom line here is this. We don't know, and the game's not canceled yet. So as far as I'm concerned, next Friday night, we still have a football game until further notice. Now, that doesn't mean you take it lightly, because when there are 20 that have had positive tests, so the story says, and 20 more in quarantine, most of these folks are defensive players. I don't see how you could play a game if you had that many missing, and you had the flexibility with the bye week on the 21st to try to make it up somewhere along the line. So I don't really have any conclusive evidence yet, so I just don't want to jump to conclusions. And I must say, we thought this sort of thing was going to happen somewhere down the road. Didn't know it would happen here, but we knew it was going to happen.
It might be the good time for the Aaron Rodgers admonition, RELAX.
Exactly. I like that. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Group. Love talking about Matt and his entire team. They talk great value and never sacrificing great service. That's what you got to think about when you think about the entire Eflin Insurance team. They're pros. They have access to 10 leading companies to find the right home or auto program that'll fit your needs and fit your budget. And if you need commercial insurance, not many agencies do both. But at the Eflin Insurance Group, they do both. the personal, and they are terrific. With small to mid-sized businesses, they actually have virtually unlimited access to programs to protect those. Now, I don't want to forget about life insurance either. Affluent's got you covered there with 15 well-respected companies. You never wonder when you have that kind of choice if you've gotten a good deal, you're getting a great deal. Grant, Andrew, Keith, they're all standing by starting Monday to help you get protected. 901-386-4777. That's 901-386-GRRR, because they love the Tigers. That's the Eflin Insurance Group. We take a break. When we come back, it'll be crunch time on this Friday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
Family Leisure's done it again. We're talking about the world's biggest spa sale. Up to 30% off on spas and swim spas. Choose from hundreds of different spas from multiple manufacturers. There is special financing available, and if you are in the market, special pricing now as summer starts to dwindle on chemicals and accessories. Always professional delivery available. The spas are going crazy at Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road.
COVID-19 is still ravaging our community. People are still getting sick. Unfortunately, people are still dying. There's still a tremendous need for testing. There's a new Christ Community testing location. If you're an essential worker, have been exposed to someone, or just know you need a test, get it at 1720 RSK Commercial Cove. That's the former Lamar Auto Inspection Station. Text TEST 2020 to 91999 or call Christ Community at 842-3160 for an appointment.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Ben Swinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Ben Swinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. 2 Memphis locations, one in Midtown on Hollywood Street across from the Liberty Bowl, and one in Cordova off Germantown Parkway next to the Fox and Hound. Visit their website, benswingerglass.com. Ben Swinger Glass.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Volosian and Brett Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. We beat you with the deal, we get insane.
Well, there's not a full slate of football. Tiger fans, this could be your last chance for a while. I hope it is anyway. Where you can go play a whole bunch of golf. Now, when you think golf, what do you think about? Well, you're thinking about your favorite golf course. You're thinking about new technology, maybe a rangefinder. Where are you going to find the newest technology? Where are you going to find the latest in golf? There's only one place that everybody goes to. It's Edwin Watts. I'm not kidding. That is golf in Memphis. Other than your favorite golf course, it's the place everybody goes to kibitz. It's the place everybody goes to check out what the latest is. It's the place to go to see how fast your swing speed is, or even to check out the latest putter. You will see somebody you know. I promise. In Edwin Watts Golf, it's always the place where they were doing like buybacks last week. There's always something, and there's always something new. You got to go check it out. Edwin Watts Golf with the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. You'll love that new store. It's not so new anymore. Right there at Poplar and I-240. It's time for crunch time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
Boop! What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
On 1, on 2, on 3. Hey!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Dave, I learned, and I know that on Sunday there will be protests, there will be activism around the National Football League. I think it will be around college football tomorrow. That's expected, free to do it, every single right vested in our Constitution for it. A little different, though, than for the NBA and for baseball. Baseball with no fans, NBA with no fans in the bubble. With the fans there, there's always that chance of action and reaction. And you had some last night, and you will have more this weekend. There will be action and reaction to everything. Dave, what'd you learn today?
Well, along those lines, I learned last night in the USL game between 901 FC and North Carolina FC that at the 8-minute mark, or actually the 7-minute mark, for a minute 46 seconds, they get into a circle and they have a moment of silence in order to point out the need for social justice. So I thought that was interesting, and it was really interesting. 901 FC tried to do what they always do, blow a lead in extra time. But guess what? After they gave up a 2-0 lead, yes, it was 2-2, they scored the winner with seconds left to go and got the 3 points they had to have. Congratulations to 901 FC.
And I would just tell people, these are the times that we're in, and if it's going to drive you crazy trying to watch it, then you're probably not going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to try to be understanding of the cause and of the protest and try to enjoy sports with it. Could have done without. Rutgers president Jonathan Holloway, who knew? He rips President Trump for weighing in on Big Ten football. He says the president should only concern himself with matters of national security and of national importance. Mr. President Holloway of Rutgers, college football is of national importance. Economically, it is. Sport is of national importance, and he's trying to get it going. Rutgers, how in the world did they land in the Big Ten? Dave, what is it you could have done without?
Well, to your point, where he is, college football may not be as important, but it certainly is to the economy of Starkville, of Tuscaloosa, of any little town.
Columbus, Norman.
It is absolutely important. I could have done without the story, and it's sort of sad. We hope it turns out okay. John Daly thought he had kidney stones. Went in, got x-rays, has bladder cancer. They had to do surgery, and the doctor says there's an 85% chance he will come back. Our thoughts, our prayers for John Daly.
Yeah, we are thinking of John Daly, and earlier today he had a pretty good round going at the Champions Tour event. Now I'm trying to find out exactly how he finished. Dickie Pride's leading at 5 under. John Daly on the news of bladder cancer, the John Daly story, isn't it something? 2 under in his first round after that news.
How did Doug
way to
Barron
go,
do
JD.
today?
And I'm looking for Doug Barron. Glenn Day -1. Doug Barron even par after his first round of the Champions Tour event. Dave, you have a great weekend. We will visit with you on Monday. You have your singing voice ready to go on Monday, okay?
I'll be ready. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Enjoy the weekend, everyone.
You got it. Dave Woloshin with us, and he will be back with us on Monday, and we'll pick a lot of football. We'll pick the 2 Monday night games, 2 of them on Monday. I love it when they do that, the early game at 6, and then the later game, and the college football crew will be doing one of those games on Monday with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit on one of the calls. But that's on Monday. We'll be keeping a close eye on a lot this weekend. North Carolina and Mack Brown at home against Syracuse. This is kind of a go-for-it year for North Carolina. In year 2 of Mack Brown, he's made it work pretty quickly for him there. Also in the ACC, Notre Dame in its first game as a conference member. Of course, it's on NBC against David Cutcliffe and Duke. In the AAC, Tulane at South Alabama. The Greenies go play the Jags in Mobile. And Arkansas State goes to Manhattan to play Kansas State. We'll be watching for Arkansas State from this area. And also as a gauge, as a judge, we won't put too much on it, Drew, on how Arkansas State handles or doesn't handle Kansas State, but we'll compare, won't we?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you always compare when you have the same opponent. We'll see how we match up.
Because that's what we do. Also, the NBA started about 25 minutes ago in one game, another later game tonight, and then tomorrow night, Lakers and Houston. NFL all day Sunday, the noon games, the 3 o'clock window, the Sunday night game, and into Monday Night Football. I will be looking forward to watching sports on Sunday and enjoying it as best I can. All the baseball all weekend long. A lot of baseball to be played, a lot of makeup games, a lot of doubleheaders, 7-inning affairs. We'll see if how the Cardinals come out of the weekend. Adam Wainwright goes tonight for the Cardinals against the Reds. And when the Cardinals don't have Jack Flaherty or Adam Wainwright, they haven't been very good in the restart. But Adam Wainwright, 4-0, 2.68 ERA. He goes tonight for the Cardinals. And usually it's in late October when you have NBA, NFL, and baseball going on with the start of the NBA season, regular weekend in the NFL, and the end of baseball with playoffs. But not this year. We get them all this weekend, and we are going to enjoy them all this weekend. We've enjoyed being with you today, and we want to thank our listeners. We want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank our great guests that we had today, Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheet, Alan Bell from CBS Sports, Glenn Rogers on high school football, Andy Schiffman on the NBA, our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. It's out there, and we hope we pick all the games right. For Dave, for Drew, I'm Brett. Everyone have a safe, great weekend. Enjoy the sports. It beats the heck out of what we had in April and May. Enjoy, everyone. We'll talk to you Monday at 3.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We